Welcome live, ladies and gentlemen, to the VIS Professional League as we kick off here for our summer season tournament. I'm your host, Dragonborn, and joining me tonight, it is going to be Denomine and our new caster joining the VIS family. It is Sean Ostino. Sean, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Dragonborn, for having me. Glad to be here.
It's going to be a pleasure. We've got an awfully exciting lineup for you guys today. Some really exciting matchups, and we're going to get in all of it. Let's talk a little bit, though, about our format that we're going to be having here. Let's talk a little bit about the bracket and the teams that will be playing. So this is a single elimination top 16 teams that have registered and have been seeded for this tournament. We had a lot of teams sign up, but we selected the top 16, and here they are today. Each day for this week, we'll be streaming 2 series a game. Every single match that takes place during this single elimination tournament, it will be streamed, guys. So for the next 2 weeks, we've got a ton of action. Starting off today, though, and this is the matchup that I think, honestly, could be one of the most exciting matchups today. So it kind of sucks. We're starting off with a very tense, close one. It is going to be Tribe Gaming versus NRG. Denomine. These are the 8th and 9th seeded teams from this tournament. These are both 2 teams that have made it to challenge battles in past seasons, made it to Vainglory 8, in fact, at some point in their career. A lot of the same players. Talk to me a little bit about what's happened, though, with these rosters. What are some changes that we should look out for?
Well, I think the changes we have to look out for is it does look like for the side of NRG, we have lost Lightning T, who is really that kind of pivot point player for them. He really just plays at such a high level. So I think that is a pretty sizable loss for them. They have picked up Silly Smurf, and it does look like Grasscoon will be stepping in to very likely play that jungle position. We've seen him play a couple games in the last season of the Challenger Series, looking for that Challengers Regional Cup qualifying spot. Not quite able to make it all the way, though. And then obviously on the other side, we got the side of Tribe, who will still be... it looks like we might have the wrong players in here right now, but it should be Mixgy, E36 in status, I would think, unless if we have a sub.
Yeah, we actually might have a sub. We do expect, of course, Mixgy to play at least for some of these games. Tribe Gaming, they've been kind of that steady Eddie with teams. They've had very strong performances. They've just not been able to punch their way back into the Vainglory 8 or kind of get that challenge battle spot that they probably had hoped for. I would say, at least from NRG side, before we switch back over to Tribe, this is the roster they have now based on the fact that Lightning T left. These rosters can change week to week as we go through this tournament, so they are allowed to bring on new free agents to try to, figure out their roster. Plus, a lot will change once we get into next season, once summer is over. A lot of this is building up towards as we conclude this season here in summer and go into autumn season. But talk to me a little bit about Tribe. Well, we may have...
It does look like we do have a sub coming in, so we'll be E36 Marto in status. We did see E36 play some jungle in the last season as well. He actually had some really good performances on Celeste, so that'll be pretty exciting to see. But I think that does leave us with Status to be our player to watch. He is a player who's for a long time competed at the very top tier of Vainglory with performances both at the World's Championship last year, as well as many of the seasons riding up to it. He's such a great around the fold player. I mean, he has a pretty sizable jungle hero pool. We've seen him play a lot of Grumpjaw, a lot of Kashka, a lot of Sky, and I really think that he's going to be the biggest game changer here for our Hyper X player to watch.
Yeah, he is the X factor of Tribe Gaming, and he's had some really strong performances in past Challenge Series games. He's actually had some rough spots as well, getting bodied a lot in the jungle. But as Tribe Gaming wins, it's usually on the back of a Status's very strong performance. So with that, everybody, we are just about ready to get into the draft here in just a few seconds. Just checking with the teams to make sure they are ready and ready to go here now. This is double band draft, everybody. What that means is each team does have an opportunity to take away 2 heroes from the other side throughout the draft as they pick their heroes. So if you guys are not familiar with double band draft, it really is important to have a deep hero pool for a lot of these competitive players, because oftentimes a hero that you rely on heavily to win matches, to carry you through some of these games, can oftentimes be taken away, and especially if you got scouted out properly.
Yeah, and just to clarify, because I do see it in the chat, this is on update 2.7. So this is there is an opportunity we could see some awesome Riza play. Would be pretty exciting. Status, I hope you're listening.
Now, Riza, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that. Riza has been that new hero that's entered the fold. This is going to be the first tournament officially on 2.7, as well as, at least in North America, as well as using Riza. And we haven't seen a lot of action. I've heard a lot of conflicting reports on his power. Riza's kind of been like, has some advantages, can be played well, but overall not coming out as that overpowered hero just yet. Or Denomine, have you heard something different?
Pretty much the same. I've had some people really, say that Riza is really fun, but I think it's pretty on the evenly balanced. He's definitely not like the huge, impactful game changer like Baron when he came out, or Gwen when she came out. It's not just a huge. It's not a huge brunt force hero. He does take some time to ramp up, and he can be shut down very early. So it does make it kind of difficult to play him, especially with Kashka the way she is right now. She's very good at evading in. And actually, are we far enough into 2.7 yet, Dragon, that Riza will be playable?
Riza is playable, so we can definitely get in. We're in the draft right now, so we've got Grace and Catherine. These are the two top captains. These are the guys that are usually banned away, or girls usually banned away in these competitive matches now. This means that Tribe gets Lyra, so Energy is forced to now either take one of those hyper carries or stay it safe with the support as they go. They're going to take a little bit of time to think about this. Typically, we do see like a Vox, or in this case, it's going to be an Idris come out.
Yep, and they ban away the Glaive, which is really smart because Idris is just really good at getting to that back line and taking down a very squishy target. Glaive is very good into Idris just because of his high health pool, and he really has a lot of dueling capabilities when going into an Idris, especially if that chakram is burned before going in. So really smart of them to take this off the table here. Obviously, with the Idris, the Baron pick out of the side of Tribe is going to be less likely. Now, it is still doable. But obviously with the Idris there, it is a little bit of a risk, and the Catherine is taken off the table. We do have the Lyra, but if that Bright Bulwark gets baited out early, then the Idris is going to have an easy time jumping in. They do take the Kestrel off, so taking one of those really strong flex picks out of the way here, definitely smart by the side of Tribe. And Adagio gets locked in, so we do have some form of healing on the side of NRG now. This will very likely going to be a Captain Adagio. Not something we really see too much in the jungle these days, and with the Idris already picked,
right,
it will be in the lane. But the Baron does get locked in, so this is a little bit of a risky scenario, but if Tribe can make it late enough in the game, it definitely can be game-changing. It was only about a 10% nerf to the additional weapon power that Baron gets, and a Crystal Baptiste for the jungle is going to be the last lock-in here for the side of Tribe.
Now,
what do you think, Dragon?
Well, I mean, yeah, just a lot of picks. Actually, that draft was moving pretty quick here. The Adagio captain is really surprising. We actually usually see Idris paired up well with an Ardid. We don't see too much Finn. Finn's really slow, so Adagio is going to be a little bit faster. But now you basically, you want to pair something that has a strong front line. Adagio's not a good front line. And Baron's going to be able to get be able to move in and out of these fights, and I don't think he's really going to be impacted by Adagio. So I think Energy really needs to focus on getting some kind of either a super hyper aggressive jungler or get some kind of frontline jungler. You're going up against a lot of range too, so you're really stuck. You can't take a Rona or a Rhyme here in this case. We could see potentially like a Cruel come out, but even then, Glaive, unfortunately they banned Glaive away. It is going to be a Cruel that is picked. They banned Glaive away. Glaive would have been great to try to get to that back line at least, or a Sky. I'm actually surprised NRG did not pick a Sky here because of how good Silly Smurf is with the Sky, and it would have been pretty effective into this composition. Cruel is going to be that ultimate pick.
Cruel works pretty well into Baptiste as well. Cruel's very good into that very mage-style play style in the jungle. Having the Adagio there as well, it is kind of like a free delivery of Gift of Fire to get that burn down onto the enemies. Now, the buff is not as strong because it is a Captain Adagio, but we will have that opportunity just to get some bonus damage down in the fight. And if the side of NRG can take a hero off of Tribe very early on in the fight, there's definitely an opportunity where they can really just start to take over a fight very quickly, even if it's not looking like it's going their way at the beginning, just because of the damage that ramps up.
You know, this is absolutely true, and you know, Cruel is that front line that we talked about that really has a lot of potential to come in here, get in the way, take a little bit of damage, but not get knocked out of the fight right away. It could heal back up. Of course, he's got that pretty reliable stun once he comes online, once he gets to level 6. From Hell's Heart, it's one of those really incredibly consistent ability that if you can aim it correctly, you could really shut down a carry like a Baron or a Baptiste, for instance. So we'll see how well that plays into it. We haven't seen Silly Smurf play a lot of it, and I'm actually kind of curious to see if it will be Silly Smurf that is going to be playing in the jungle, or if he's going to be flexing to the lane, as we really haven't seen quite yet how this energy roster is going to shape up.
I definitely think it's going to be Silly Smurf in the lane. I don't think Grasscoon can really compete at this level in the lane particularly. I think he can in the jungle and in the captain position. Going from captain to lane is a much more difficult transition than going from captain to jungle. So it just makes more sense. And after we have these heroes locked in, it is going to be Grasscoon playing this Krull in the jungle. Silly Smurf is going to be in the lane on the Idris.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes a lot more sense, yeah.
Taking into the jungle as well. So again, we saw some good performances out of E36 last season. The tail end there, we had I think, if I remember correctly, Mixu was traveling. So definitely going to be looking forward to how E36 does here. And then also how Status, who is our HyperX player to watch, is going to see how he's able to go up against this Idris in the lane. And we know that Idris has been a counter to Baron for a while now. And Baron, again, some pretty, maybe not the biggest nerfs, but definitely a little bit of a cutback on his damage.
Yeah, well, we're into the game, guys, so I'm going to kick it over to our casters. Obviously, Denabine and Shaunastino, guys. I wish Shaunastino good luck, too, on his first cast as we get into all the action. Sean, take it away.
Thank you, Dragonborn. So we are off onto the Halcyon Fold. We've got, just like we were talking about in the game, in the draft, Status. He's up there doing his farm thing as usual. Looks like he's got double weapon blade there, possibly working towards a tension bow. Would you agree with that? Oh, looks like we have. Oh, it looks like we have a little bit of engage here. Bradley's going really low. Actually, he's going to have to get under turret, and he almost gets taken out by those rockets coming out of Baron so early. And yeah, he's going to have to go ahead and recall back to base. It looks. Oh no, he's actually going to be sticking around. So, yeah. What would you say the win conditions are here for the? Oh, we already have somebody going low. Baptiste, E36 is taken out, and First Blood goes over to NRG. Sorry, I have to keep cutting you off. There's just so much action going on so early.
You do what you got to do. As the play-by-play, you just do what you got to do, and Grass is not letting up this aggression.
Yeah, absolutely. And we already have, so 1 kill going over to NRG. And there's still so much going on already, and they're just taken out 1-1 now with a very slight gold lead. Status is doing his jump jets in there, and he takes out a Brad. So we have 2 kills going to the side of Tribe already. 2 minutes into the game, this is just amazing. And Status is just continuing to put the pressure into the enemy jungle. He ends up stealing out that mid treant heal, and he's going to go ahead and port back to home and buy himself some heavy steel there. So what do you think of this early aggression so far, Denominate?
I definitely think Grass went a little bit too far there. I do like that we see Status is also now building towards that Sorrow Blade. It just provides a lot more damage in the early game than a Tension Bow from Baron because of that double shot he gets on the jump jets. So definitely a lot of splash opportunity, especially with 2 melee carries coming out of the side of NRG. Krull and the Idris specifically need to be very careful not to group up and allow Status to get free additional damage with those splashing attacks from the rocket launcher. Marto obviously going to be able to help Status heal up in the lane with that Imperial Sigil, though, so definitely going to be a useful tool going forward. And we got a little bit of a lead here on Status, and that's really where you want to be on a Baron. If you can get to that late game at a quick pace, then Baron comes online very, very strong, very, very early. So gonna be fun to see how quickly here Status can get through this build. Very likely going to see that 4-item Baron come out here and just look to delete either Silly Smurf or Grasscoon before they can get any of their own utility down.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see this double melee composition coming out from NRG. We do have that makes it a big advantage for Status to possibly just melt them, burst them down with those double rockets coming out of the jump jets. It looks like we have NRG coming down to shop for a bit, and we actually have. Actually, we do see Silly Smurf picking up some crystal items. So it looks like he's going to be going. He's going to be actually going the CP path for the divergent paths for Idris.
Yeah, and that is a little bit easier to do this patch as they did lower the amount of crystal power and weapon power you need for that divergent path. As we can see, we don't even have a tier 3 completed yet, and he has enough crystal power to get those ranged attacks that will keep him in a little bit safer place. It doesn't have the same execute style damage that the weapon version of this build does, but definitely a lot of potential if he can land those chakrams. It is a little bit more difficult of a build to run, especially as people start gaining their movement speed, getting their boots. Those chakrams going to become harder to hit and harder to chain as the game goes on. So there's a lot of opportunity here for NRG. Again, they have the counter for Baron. The Lyra can work well if the Bright Bulwarks come out well timed. It's just going to be all about Status's placement here, and then also if E36 can lock somebody down with it Ordained and allow Status to rein in those rockets.
It looks like we have a little bit of posturing here in the Mustache Bush, and there was actually some good pressure coming out of Tribe, and that allows them to rotate down into the jungle and actually steal the fronts away from NRG. And that's more gold going into their pocket there, where they're increased their gold lead to about 1,000. And that's pretty good for 5 minutes into the game here.
Yeah, it's definitely a sizable lead for them. Again, anytime you're ahead on Baron is really good. I'd like to see Status, once he does get a chance to pick up this second item, which does look like he's going to a monocle. When he gets the opportunity to push the wave in, I'd like him to be able to rotate down with E36 and get some of that extra ambient gold out of the back of the jungle, just to kind of help Baron get to that online point much quicker. But we've got some engagement here out of both sides getting some good chip damage.
Yeah, Ordain actually came out from E36 and kind of locked down Bradley a little bit, but he was able to get away. And there's a lot of burst damage coming out of Status, hitting with those jump jets onto Bradley. He's just going to have to go back under turret. And still, those bad mojos coming out on the Silly Smurf, chunking him down just a little bit. And he's just going to have to throw some of his mini chakrams and chakrams out there to try to zone out Tribe. But with Status is actually taking a little bit of that turret aggro. And as they fall back, getting out of turret range, they're still able to poke from a pretty good distance and siege. And they haven't quite sieged this turret yet, but they're just throwing out 237 damage on the Silly Smurf from that bad mojo there. Oh my goodness. Ordain connects and Ion Cannon comes down. Is he going to be able to get away? Yes, he does. Wow, this is just some good action right here in the first 7 minutes of the match. And Tribe Gaming is not letting up.
Yeah, Tribe, again, definitely wanting to push the advantage as early as they can. Crystal Idris does take some time to come online. Oh, but here comes the From Hell's Heart.
Oh, it doesn't connect, and Grass is going pretty low under turret. He comes back. Oh, my goodness, look at all that crystal damage coming out. And Silly Smurf is going so low, he's going to be executed, and he's taken down. He's going to have to respawn at base. Wow. Grass is just all on his own here in this bush. He's able to take out E36, actually. And it looks like there's a good trade there from the side of NRG. They were going really low. They actually were at quite a disadvantage, but they were able to get a few kills off of their own. And it looks like Grass is actually coming back in. I don't know why you're doing this, Grass. You're going so low. And he's going to have to retreat, probably run into the jungle and get some heal out of that mid-tree in there.
Yeah, definitely going to be looking to get that Treant. Kroll does have a lot of opportunity to heal himself back up, both with the barrier he provides, the natural healing he gets per stack of that Spectral Smite, as well as obviously proccing it gives him a big burst of health. Already back almost at full health here in the jungle, and Silly Smurf rotating down, very likely going to get that alternating current soon, not quite enough gold yet. There it goes right there. He sold an item, picked up the alternating current. It's going to give him his attack speed. A little additional crystal damage on every other basic attack. He does get 100% of the crystal power that he has into his basic attacks, which allows him to get a lot of damage down, and again, does give him that ranged benefit, which is going to be useful going forward here, because again, we can't allow Baron to get free splash damage down, so he still does have to be careful. It's just a little bit easier with the Crystal Path, where he's able to stay out of damage range out of Baron, excuse me there. Good stun comes out though, Sean.
From Hell's Heart comes out, and we have E36 going really low. Grass is really deep, and he just gets that Spectral Strike. He's able to sustain there, and the Verse of Judgment comes out, and it does something, because we have them just surviving, sustaining here. Tribe, 2 members down, and we have NRG able to siege this turret now, do free reign of damage. Silly Smurf, Chakrams, mini Chakrams, everything is just doing so much work here in the lane. Oh my goodness. And we actually have Bright Bulwark coming down, and Marto's going really low though, still backing off, getting under turret. And we actually have them pushing up this wave. We got Silly Smurf and team going back to base, actually. So good engages at about 10 minutes into the game here, and the gold is about even now between Tribe and NRG.
Well, while that push was going on in the lane, Grass actually did rotate down and stole away that gold mine, did 1v1 it. But this turret looks like it's going to drop now on the side of NRG, but oh man, Grass gets kill.
Yeah, and Status is going really low himself. He's just going to have to stay on that back line. He's getting healed up by that sigil, and he's pretty healthy now. He's just going to keep raining down rockets. Bradley's putting down some vision, going to have to poke a little bit, but Ordain keeps him locked down. He blocks it, actually. Still super low, but we have Grass going in, doing some work. Takes out Status. Oh my goodness, and there goes E36 too. And Marto is left alone again, almost within a minute, losing both the members of Tribe, and just going to have to wait and see this turret fall here. And now both sides of Tribe and NRG have lost their first tier 1 turret. So it looks like...
Sorry about that there.
Oh, no, that's okay. It looks like, yeah, they're actually going to be able to capitalize on this and rotate down, steal that mid-treant, and NRG is taking those fronts as well. That's a little bit of extra gold in their pockets.
Yeah, we've got about a 2,000 or a 1,000 gold lead now on the side of NRG, so definitely making a little bit of a comeback for themselves here. They found a couple good fights there, and really I want to point out Grass's positioning in those last fights. You know, we talked about Grass maybe being the out of his comfort of playing that captain position, but he's doing really good this game so far.
Yeah, Status is going really low, actually. Verse of Judgment comes out, does some more work, and we end up losing Status. Grass is gone as well, so it's 2v2 in the lane. Oh, E36, he's so low, but he's retreating back, and he's going to recall back to that healing pad. Marto, again, having to just posture near the turret. Bradley and Silly Smurf are still aggressing and engaging, sieging this turret. 420 damage coming out onto that from the Chakrams, and it's just so much. Attack slow does come out from the Atlas Pauldron, but they're just going to go ahead and back off. They did what they needed to do. And Bradley, he's ordained. He's going to have to stick around for a little bit longer. Silly Smurf coming back to help out. Those Chakrams doing over 400 damage coming out, but Status is here to save the day, and he's throwing out damage, 382 double shot. Oh my goodness, yeah. This is insanity, Denominated. Just the trades that are happening between NRG and Tribe, and Bradley, he's still there. He's still sustaining and surviving, and he's going to have to port back to base.
Crucible is burned to save Bradley's life there, so they do prevent giving over the kill. We have a 3-kill advantage now for NRG, sitting around 2,000 gold ahead now. Bradley does pick up a infusion to try to get some additional cooldown and some crystal power behind his abilities. And has also gone with the Metal Jacket to help him survive that front line against Status on this Baron, who's gone a very aggressive damage build with the Sorrowblade double monocle. Going to be interesting to see if he does go into that tension bow for his last item just to get that additional pierce. Some slight nerfs to tension bow. I believe it was 2% of the armor pierce was nerfed. So definitely not as strong as it has been, but still pretty sizable up there. We got a fight breaking out.
Yeah, Grass ran in there, and he actually got deleted immediately. All that damage just coming out of the side of Tribe, and they're pushing NRG back here into their own jungle. Bradley is actually locked in with that Ordained. Burst of Judgment comes out, and it does serious damage to Marto. He's going really low. Status going low as well. Oh my goodness, an ace comes out, and they are just deleted. Tribe is going to have to wait on these death timers now, as Bradley is the only survivor of NRG, and he's going to go ahead and just put down some vision. Looks like he's working a little bit on the gold miner. Perhaps going to get it started up. That was quite the battle there to dominate.
It was, and fighting under that miner definitely swung the fight, even though it was looking really bad for the side of NRG. That miner came in, cleaned up some kills, and actually all three of them went on to Silly Smurf, this Crystal Idris. So definitely getting him to this fourth item soon will be absolutely huge. It'll probably be the Eve of Harvest, as the amount of damage that Silly Smurf has been putting out is going to offer him a lot of sustain in return. Grass really has to be careful about going in deep, because once that Bright Bulwark comes out, if Kroll gets locked in the middle of it, we'll very likely continue to see E36. Once that Bulwark is about to drop, he'll drop that Ordained. It's going to lock up Kroll just a little bit longer and really allow Status to get some additional damage down. Now, Status does have an infusion burning, but I think he needs to get some Pierce here soon. Very likely after he finishes this Aegis, he will go into some Pierce just to kind of get through some of the armor that's being built. Obviously, the Tier 3 armor already on Bradley, as well as likely coming out soon out of Silly Smurf and Grass as well.
Yeah, Tribe is just not having any of this. They're starting to invade the jungle quite a bit more here, and they're hanging around in the jungle. Help from Hell's Heart comes out, but it doesn't connect. And we have the Bright Bulwark come down defensively, but looks like Tribe's still sticking around in that mustache bush for the side of NRG, and there's a lot of posturing here in the lane around that mustache bush. Chakram comes out, does some damage onto Marto, taken down to about 2/3 health, but nothing yet, not quite engaged yet. But Bad Mojo comes out, but they're just going to have to heal up, and Tribe is going to rotate down into the jungle shop now. And it looks like NRG is going to take this opportunity to port back, heal up as well, and do a little bit of farming.
Yeah, and again, we do have a little bit of a gold lead still on the side of NRG, but as Baron gets closer and closer to that fourth item, the fights can definitely swing back into Tribe's favor. They did a really good job in the early game and pushed a lot of aggression when NRG was out of place. But now that Kroll is getting a little bit tankier, he does have the Poison Shiv, it's going to give him some sustain. The Aegis is complete, Tier 2 armor, as well as an additional reflex block here out of the Kroll. Definitely going to make him quite a nuisance if he can make a safe engage. But now Bradley has to be very, very careful here, Sean.
And he's going really, really low. Hell's Heart comes out, stuns up E36. Ion Cannon comes down, does a little bit of damage on Bradley. Grass is really deep in there, but he gets Ordained, and Tribe is actually just backing off here. They have their health bar so low. And there he goes. E36 goes down. Status is getting really hurt. Fountain comes out, but it's not enough. Marto leaving the battle, and it looks like we're going to have NRG taking this Crystal Sentry. Down it goes. And that's a little bit more extra gold in their pocket, and it looks like Kraken is going to be theirs.
Kraken does appear to be going freely over to NRG. There's no way Marto had the health or energy to come and try to contest it. So he's just going to have to try to hold this minion wave off the turret. So that the Kraken does have to stop at that objective when it gets here into the lane, and will receive the percentage of health damage that turret will bring it down. It is very low. It's going to drop very, very quickly. But the way these fights have been going, NRG definitely has a pretty clear opportunity here where they can close out this game. Silly Smurf does have that Eve of Harvest now complete. Will have a lot of damage going on in this next fight. And again, the nerfs to Baron are pretty minor, but it does make it a little bit easier for this Idris to get into that backline for the damage. Again, he does have the range to his advantage now as well.
That choke point turret just went down, and Kraken is pushing into the base of Tribe, and Bright Bulwark comes down. But we don't see... Oh, there's a lot of damage coming out onto E36, and he's retreating a little bit. That Fearsome Shade comes out, knocks Grass into the wall, and Crystal Sentry's in there doing work. It's a fourth man here to help out Tribe. But, the Grass is going so low with all those attacks coming out of Status. But it looks like we're down to the Crystal here, and the Vene's about to shatter. It's down to half health already. Oh my goodness. But we have an ace coming out. And they're actually able to sustain. And now we have a possible backdoor situation for Tribe. This is really dangerous here with 4 turrets remaining for the side of NRG.
Yeah, Status is actually building into some attack speed now, not going into any Pierce, so that armor out of the side of NRG really going to do a lot of work cutting down this damage that Baron's able to put out. We mentioned everybody here has a tier 3 armor now, including Grass, who got in on that last fight, got in onto Baron, and was able to get the Atlas Pauldron off. They do take an additional turret, but they're in a dangerous position now as they are very low on health. And
connects, and Status goes down. They stayed too long, and now we have Tribe just being hunted down by NRG. They're able to get away, but they need to elongate that gap. Bradley is just coming up in there. Bright Bulwark comes down, snares NRG members up a little bit, but they're still retreating into their choke point, and it looks like NRG is going to be finishing this right now. They're just going to stomp into the base. It's a 3v2 situation, and there's so much damage coming out of NRG right now. Once they get close, Burst of Judgment comes out, and it actually gets stopped up, but it doesn't matter because the Vayne shatters, and that game goes the way of NRG. What a game!
Yeah, Silly Smurf actually came out really big here. I was pretty impressed. It's not really a player that we've seen be able to compete at the top for very long. He's had very good performances followed by very bad performances. So going into the next game is going to be able to see if he has that consistency that we really need to see out of him. Again, he has some good games, but he also has some bad games. And consistency is really the name of the game here in Vainglory. Big performance here. We do have a sub, however, on Tribe, so he didn't have to go up against Mixi, which put Status out of his comfort zone a little bit. I think that might have had a pretty sizable part in this game. But going into game number 2, it is still anybody's game. We do know Tribe has some very top-tier players able to compete. In fact, we have some players that have won championships in the past, obviously, back in the Liberation X days. So, gonna be exciting to see if Tribe is able to pull something a little bit cleaner together for game number 2.
Yeah, I'm excited for game number 2, and it looks like we saw Silly Smurf doing a lot of work. I have to give kudos to that guy. 10 kills with CP address, and let's go ahead and see what's going to happen in game number 2. Let's go ahead and throw it back over to Dragonborn.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much. That was a really exciting game. Just want to talk a little bit about that because I was blown away. I mean, both teams are playing with, somewhat patched together rosters. This is, of course, NRG's only roster, but Tribe having to, not have Mixi on the board today, on manned up, and to be able to play for them today, that was a huge disadvantage for them to nominate. And I know before the game, we were actually talking about Mixi was kind of the player to watch for Tribe Gaming. So for him not to be here is a huge loss, and it just really showed. I think what was really impressive, though, was just how well Grass showed up and played today on this Cruel.
Yeah, and again, I do think the transition from the captain position to the jungle is just much easier to do than into the lane. So I'm glad they went that route and put Silly Smurf in the lane, even though we've typically seen him back and forth between the lane and the jungle. I definitely think this is their best case win scenario. So going into this next game, I do think we have to consider the fact that Tribe did pick Baron into an Idris. I mean, one of Baron's biggest counters. So that's definitely something that has to be taken into consideration on how that game went. Baron's low movement speed really allows an Idris to get a lot of damage down with those chakrams. Again, not quite the dive in and execute style play, but when those chakrams did land, I mean, we saw, the double 444 damage. That's almost 900 damage there on one ability, and really forced a lot out of the side of Tribe.
And because you had Cruel on that front line, and Adagio was actually your backline support in this case, giving Cruel a lot of heal, a lot of damage, so that you ultimately wanted to focus on Cruel, and if you did, you ended up paying the price by taking all of that crystal damage from Idris, who could, easily start dishing out that damage. Additionally, we saw that one ace that occurred kind of early on in the game, one of the earlier aces, where it was very close, very intense back and forth fighting all around that crystal sentry. Unfortunately, Tribe forgot there was a crystal sentry there, and there was an Adagio, and Adagio was able to clean house right there at the end. I mean, it was absolutely incredible, but more importantly, just a factor of that the composition that NRG brought really actually played out well, especially because they did play to their win condition. They did focus on what they needed, which was that cruel front line, and Idris just had to keep poking away at the side of Tribe. So we are going to take a very short break, guys. We actually do have a player substitute as well that's going to be happening on one of the teams. We'll update you guys on what that is after this quick break. So don't go anywhere, folks. Game number 2 of this series is about to start.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are here live at the VIS desk, getting ready for our second game of this series, first series of the summer season here for VIS Professional, and we are hyped. Our first tournament really on 2.7, so you guys are kind of starting to see these pro players play it out with these new heroes, new compositions, potentially. We may see the new hero played here, of course. We'll have to wait and see. Looks like we're just about ready for draft for game number 2. Got the last go-ahead from the team, so let's jump right into this. Denominate, as we get into this next game, talk a little bit about what Tribe needs to do. They do have Mixie subbing in, so how is that going to play to potentially now taking this to a game 3 if they can win this next matchup?
Well, I definitely think they have the tools under their belt now to get to that third game matchup again. Status was playing out of his comfort zone. He is a jungle main, was obviously forced to play the lane there. So it is going to be Mixie, Status, E36, which is the roster that we've seen them run the most and have the most success with as well. So I think going into this game number 2, since he didn't get the spotlight in the beginning, but had a great performance here on game number 1 at least, I do want to give our HyperX player to watch over to Silly Smurf. Had that big 10-kill game there on the Idris. I do think going forward it is going to be a little more difficult for him this game going into Mixie, but I was really impressed with just the mechanics that he displayed on that Idris in the last game.
Yeah, I was very impressed too. I think Tribe has a chance to really gather themselves. Obviously, Mixie coming in, I really think improves their position in the lane. And of course, Status in the jungle greatly improves their position there. I really feel Status will win out in the jungle. And if they do, I suspect that they're going to take this and take us to a game number 3 here, which would be very exciting on its own. Idris is going to be the pickup here for Tribe as they go for their second ban. It looks like this second pick Idris here on B side is starting to become a little bit of a trend. We see it twice in a row now. Tell me a little bit why we're seeing this pick so early and on this side, Day.
Well, I am actually open up the game 3 draft. I'm noticing, so let me open up the right draft real quick. Well, obviously with the Lyra and Catherine taken off early, and getting this Idris over onto Mixie, we do have the Grace pickup for Bradley on the side of NRG, so definitely a strong captain who did have some changes in this last update. The Vox does get banned away, who can have a pretty decent time into Idris. He's able to dance around and avoid those chakrams.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that change to Grace's abilities or some of her stat lines. What were some of the major points taken there for some of the people maybe just tuning in?
Well, specifically out of the Divine Intervention, we do have a lower base heal at all 3 levels. However, it does, I believe, if I remember correctly, has a little bit higher of a crystal ratio ramp up. So that is kind of the trade-off there is, yes, if you do go some crystal power, you can get that bonus heal, that bonus damage reduction, which you might need to do to make up for the lower amount of health that it does heal. Obviously, an infusion picked up by Grace can go a long way. But it is a lance now picked up by the side of Tribe, and I do like this into Grace specifically because we'll often see Graces will either boots in or just use that movement speed, which I do also think got a little bit of a nerf. I'm not 100% sure on the numbers. I think it dropped from 3.7 to 3.5 though.
Yeah, a little bit of a nerf to bring it back down to something more.
Right, so when Grace comes in to land that Holy Nova, Lance has an opportunity to use Githian Wall and force her back to a more favorable position for the side of Tribe. So if that Githian Wall is used correctly, there is a lot of opportunity where we could interrupt a Grace Divine Intervention, and we can also... Oh! Finn comes out here, so it might even be a carry Grace here.
Ooh, this is very strange. Now, granted, the crystal ratios you mentioned did improve, but overall, not a noticeably improved Grace. Crystal Grace has been somewhat of it could be actually a Crystal Finn, which actually makes a little bit more sense if you think about it in the lane. You're potentially going up against the Idris. You're very tanky. It's really gonna be hard for Idris to bully you.
I actually think it's going to be a lane Grace with a Captain Finn and a Crystal Jungle Kestrel is what I think we're going to see here out of this lineup for NRG. Obviously, with the Idris and the Scarf, I would think this is going to be Mixi on Idris in the lane as a weapon power hero, and then Status picking up that Scarf for the jungle. But I definitely think this is going to be a weapon lane Grace for Silly Smurf.
Now, I'm really interested on why you think that, because we haven't seen Grace played as a carry much at all. So what changed about Grace that really allows her to fit in this composition that way?
Well, we saw it in Europe, and it's not really that Grace is a particularly strong carry pick, as much as we talked about it with Glaive earlier, is Idris is just really good at getting to those squishy heroes and bringing them down. So obviously Grace a little bit tankier, a little bit of additional movement speed over something like a Baron who is slow and easy to hit those chakrams. It's more of a denial pick than anything else. Now, what is fun about Grace as the weapon path is the second portion of her basic attack does have some AoE potential to it, that will apply some of the weapon power through that secondary basic attack, as well as get a slowdown. The downfall is if you're using your abilities to heal your teammates in a fight on a weapon Grace, then you're obviously not getting damage down. But it does, with the heroes getting locked in, it is going to be Grasscoon on this Grace and Bradley on the Finn, so it is the Captain Finn. But it will be a Kestrel in the lane to deal with Mixi on this Idris.
Now, we did see both of them indicate as captains. Is it possible that we have just a double captain composition? I mean, I gotta say, just, Bradley is the true captain here, so I suspect he'll stay that. It is, you're right, Grace is picking up those double weapon blades.
I think the Grace does pretty well into Idris in the lane. Actually, it's a pretty interesting trade-off. I don't think this is going to be a additional captain that is very likely going to be going into the carry. Now, is it going to be weapon or crystal? We haven't really seen yet. We could also see it go into that double proc tension bow aftershock kind of style gameplay, just for some heavy burst to go with the amount of burst that Kestrel is able to put down. It's all going to be fun to see how the game goes on here. A lot of potential, but it has to be executed on properly. Yeah,
well, we're into the match, so I'm going to kick it over to our casters. Of course, Dead Abade and Sean Astido. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Dragonborn. Yes, we are here on the Halcyon Fold for game number 2, Tribe versus NRG. And we have already some offensive plays starting off with NRG getting their fronts. And they've already rotated up to the lane. And we see Silly Smurf there and Bradley hanging out in that front mustache bush. And they're farming up and doing a little poke damage onto Mixi. We see Grass has actually joined. He's there as well, throwing out that Holy Nova and already gets a stun onto Mixi. taking him down really low, but he's able to get away under turret. And we have Bradley now, and E36 fighting a little bit over on the mustache bush on the side of Tribe. Bradley providing some vision in that bush, just keeping himself in there. Impale comes out from E36, but there's, of course, no effect onto Finn because he's got that unstoppable perk. And it looks like now Silly Smurf is going to go ahead and recall back to base, probably go ahead and buy some more items. And yeah, we're just seeing a little bit of aggression coming out of NRG pretty early game.
Yeah, and we do actually see a crystal bit now picked up for Grass. So with these 2 weapon blades, I do think it is very likely going to be a double proc build going into that Tension Bow and Aftershock that will give a little crystal power to increase the amount of damage reduction that Holy Shield that Grace gives herself and her teammates, as well as obviously a little bit of boost on the Divine Intervention. One cool interaction between the Finn and the Grace that we actually saw in that last fight. Actually, hold on, we got a fight breaking out.
Yeah, we actually see E36 actually root down, but you know what? Tribe went in for the engage, and now they're actually getting their health bars really low. Grass is going pretty low himself. That goop comes out when he's burning. He's backing up, but Status is actually going really low as well, and he's going to have to port back to the base. And here we go. A lot of poking going on, a lot of health bars going low, but no kills yet at 3 minutes in. Looks like we're just going to keep seeing them farm up in lane. Mixi's hanging out there in that mustache bush, throwing out those chakrams, getting a bit of damage down on the Smurf, not too much though. Bradley looks like he's going to have to port back to base as well, refill his health bars, and buy some items too.
Yeah, and that interaction I was starting to get into for the side of NRG is a lot of people find the Holy Nova kind of difficult to land because you do get locked up in place. It allows your enemies to move out of it. One cool interaction with the Finn, at least, is if the enemies are trying to run out of that Holy Nova and Finn is placed well with his polite company, the B, he can actually pull people back into the range of that Holy Nova, and it'll make it a little bit easier for Grass to find some additional stun power. We almost have a Tension Bow complete for Grass. One more jungle rotation ought to do it for him. This game, the real win condition for NRG here is just to find a lot of damage onto Mixi. He is an assassin. He's not the tankiest of heroes. So if we can force him out of a fight, there is a lot of possibility that they could really take advantage here early. A lot of damage coming down on Silly Smurf, though.
Impale comes out on the Silly Smurf, and he is just taken out. He's going to have to go ahead and respawn back at base. Grass is going really low as well. And so is Bradley. They're just getting pushed back under their own turret into their own jungle. E36 still wanting to fight. The Gythian wall comes out, stuns up Grass. He is rooted by an Impale, and that goop is burning. Taking him out, and he's going to have to respawn too. Bradley
very, very low.
Very low, hanging out under base. Polite company comes out, but Tribe is just going to have to... they did what they needed to do. They pushed that turret, and oh my goodness, Bradley finally gets taken out. He went a little bit too forward there, and we actually see Silly Smurf is the only one defending the turret at the moment.
Yeah, Silly Smurf is up here back in the lane trying to get some of this farm. Wants to complete that Sorrow Blade on this Kestrel. She does get 130% weapon damage on those Glimmer shots when they are overdriven, so definitely huge for them there. Grass has completed the Tension Bow, and Bradley now with the Fountain. So we have a Fountain now for both teams, and Silly Smurf rotating down, getting some ambient gold. We'll have enough now to complete that Sorrow Blade. And Mixi is going a double crystal build here with the Idris and the Scarf, so that's pretty interesting. That really means that NRG only has to build armor to counter all of the incoming damage from the side of Tribe.
Yeah, I would hope at this point that they get their broken myths early. That way they can be able to pierce that Aegis that will be coming out of NRG late game. But it looks like Bradley's going pretty low here. This is really dangerous. We saw this happen in the last team fight. If there's an Impale, some good damage that comes down onto Bradley, then he could get. He's going to have to respawn back at base.
Yeah, and another Impale comes through, bringing him very, very low.
Yup, he's getting very low, but that fortified health is helping him out there. He just keeps pacing back and forth there. Silly Smurf is poking out at those minions. They just want to clear that out. So, but E36 actually misses with his Impale, and we have Grass go in. Grass is Grace going in, doing some work. And those, oh my goodness, though, those, here comes Dragon's Breath out of status. A lot of damage, but it's just negated by those Divine Interventions.
Yeah, the Divine Intervention comes through, negates some of that incoming damage as well as healing him up. But man, E36 gets blown to pieces, Sean.
Taken out, and now we have a little bit of an advantage 3v2 situation here for NRG. The question is, can they capitalize it and do something here? But Silly Smurf's going really low. He's burning to death, and he actually does burn to death, but so does Status, or Status gets blown up too, and now we're down to Mixie and Bradley in the lane.
Yeah, really good trades here for the side of Tribe. They are now up 3 kills, 5-2. As well as about a 1.5 gold lead in their advantage. And Mixie doing a great job forcing this lane in, which is going to cause Silly Smurf to miss out on a lot of his farm. He's already 8 down, and Mixie is making sure that lead extends even further.
And Bradley can't really do anything, and look at the damage that just came onto that turret from Mixie and E36. Chakram's coming out. We have the heroic perk for Idris really coming into play here. He's able to poke that turret with his ranged attacks, and now we see that the turret up there for the side of Tribe hasn't had any damage, but Energy's turret is just down there, almost down to a quarter health.
Yeah, definitely a lot of potential for both of these teams. Those glimmer shots coming through can definitely put a lot of hurt onto Mixie if he dives a little too far ahead. As well as Grass has been doing a really good job getting damage down with this Grace. But man, we got a big fight breaking out right now.
Yeah, Gethian Wall comes out, stuns up Grass, and he's taken really low. So is Bradley. Silly Smurf goes in Viz, but he's taken all those Spitfires, 338 damage, but it's just negated with those Divine Interventions. And we have now that the turret actually falls. Status goes down, taken out. Squishiness of Scarf comes through, and now we have another advantage here for NRG, pushing up in the lane. They could capitalize on this and perhaps siege the turret, but there's still a lot of damage coming out, and all these impales, they just keep landing on the members of NRG. The question is, can they take out this turret now? But it doesn't happen. Silly Smurf taken down, the main damage dealer gone, and NRG is just going to have to retreat here under their tier 2 turret now.
Yeah, Grass and Bradley both very, very low. I don't know if Mixie has the damage. There it is. Last basic attack finds it.
There it goes, and this game is just turning around. Oh, Grass is he burns to death. He's gonna have to respawn, and this is another big opportunity here for Tribe to go ahead and just these impales are just landing so well here, and that's an ace that comes out.
Ace comes out for Tribe. That might be the tier 2 turret as this wave does come in, and it is indeed. This game looking a lot better for Tribe now that they have Mixie here on the roster, 3-0. But Status on this little baby dragon, 6-2-0, putting down just a huge amount of damage.
Oh my goodness, people are dropping like flies here. Mixie actually goes down, and he's going to have to respawn. But we have Tribe really taking advantage and capitalizing on this push that they've had for the last couple of minutes here, but it looks like they could be in trouble. E36 combat rolls away. Status is actually pouring down that burning goop, able to slow down the members of NRG, and it looks like they could be playing a dangerous game here, but they actually war treads away, and they're retreating into their own jungle here. Good engages coming out of Tribe here, and just falling back when they needed to, not poking out too far.
Yeah, and we do have both Broken Myths now complete for Mixie and Status. One thing we got to point out here is Bradley has the Fountain and then 3 tier 2 shields on this Finn. Obviously, that Unstoppable perk from Finn does give him bonus crystal defense. Obviously, that shield, I think it's an additional 15%. So definitely looking to reduce the incoming damage out of Scarf. Tribe's coming in, though.
Yeah, looks for an engage, actually lands the impale on Grass, and they're able to stun him up against the wall with the Gethian Wall, and boom, he is just blown up. Tribe taking advantage, keeping up the aggression, and now they're able to capitalize on the mistakes of NRG, and they're going to get this gold miner right now. Vision coming out from Bradley, but he knows he can't do anything because they're just body blocking. Oh, the force cord comes out too late. And now looks like Bradley's going to be in trouble. He's getting blown up, burnt down by the members of Tribe. And the Crystal Sentry's there to help him out and go ahead and dissuade Tribe from doing any further damage upon Bradley. But they do steal away that mid-treant. So it's a 2v3 situation here in the jungle. Tribe retreating. Going to go ahead and buy some and keep farming in their jungle as well.
Yeah, Grass looking to go into his Shattered Glass for his second item will give a lot of additional sustain to Silly Smurf with those Divine Interventions, as well as the Retribution that he will give him off of the Benediction A. So definitely a lot of potential still out of this lineup that NRG has put together, specifically with the double crystal composition that that Tribe has put together. Just going to be about NRG finding the right fight. With Mixi going Crystal, it's not going to put him vulnerable at the front line like we would have normally seen out of a weapon Idris. So definitely making sure that E36 is going to be the one blocking out those glimmer shots out of Silly Smurf is going to be huge for the team. And then obviously Mixi and Status just going to look to poke through Bradley as much as they can and force him to burn his sustain on himself.
Yeah, it looks like we may be having a little bit of a fight come out here, but no, it looks like they just want to take the Crystal Sentry and they're going to disengage a little bit. But no, E36 still poking with those impales. And I must say, Denominated, these impales coming out of Lance's E36 and the Githian walls are just too much right now for NRG to handle. They're just the stuns from the Githian walls, the roots keeping the members of NRG in place. This is really working for Tribe right now.
Yeah, and a good root comes through, or they get Grass down.
Yeah, that's right. And the not only was the root there, but the goop just came right on top of him. There's a little bit of heal coming out there, and it looks like he's just going to have to retreat back into the healing pad. But this could be another siege coming out from Tribe onto this choke point turret, and they're going to be able to easily do it. We know that Scarf can melt through turrets, and with Idris there, CP Idris there to just throw out more chakrams and poke from range, it's just going to be a piece of cake to them.
Will, and Status actually does steal away that treant out of the back jungle of NRG, extending their lead about 6,000 gold. Mixi gets both of the backs as well.
And Grass comes out with a Divine Intervention, but Mixi's still poking from range. Does he steal it? He does take the mid-treant, and there's a lot of vision down in the jungle, going into the offensive jungle, actually, for Tribe. And they're able to keep this vision game up. They're keeping the vision game. They're keeping the pressure. And it's 4-10 now at 14 minutes in, for the side of Tribe. And they're just doing so well here at this point in the game.
Yeah, Grass has completed an Aegis and is working into additional shield now. It will give him a little bit more sustain, as well as having that Shatter Glass is going to, again, bring the damage reduction out of the Retribution bigger, but oh, Silly Smurf!
Yeah, there's a lot of damage coming on to E36, but he's able to tank it pretty well because he is Lance. Force Cord comes out and it doesn't connect with anybody, pulling anybody in. They just keep retreating, and it looks like the Kraken is actually out. We're at the 15-minute mark, guys, and this could be it. This is the opportunity now. If the next team fight is going to really determine what's going to happen, who's going to be making the big push. And E36 down there in the middle of NRG, poking away, providing distraction. Dragon's Breath comes out, taking the members of NRG really low, and down goes Grass. He's taken out, burnt alive. Crystal Sentry trying to do some work, but Mixi takes out Bradley, takes out the Crystal Sentry, and Silly Smurf's all alone. Impale comes out too late, but it doesn't matter because it's an ace. And now we have the choke point turret ready to fall.
Choke point turret will definitely drop again. You were mentioning it earlier. The Scarf and Crystal Idris just do so much damage to objectives, and that is going to be now Tribe rotating down over to the Kraken. And with only 2 turrets standing between them and a victory, this is looking more and more like a Tribe game. We just have to still see a careful engagement out of Tribe. Sometimes from these teams all the way up to the top of the VG8 and all the way down to the bottom of the Challenger Series, we see teams get the Kraken and then just push a really sloppy fight that is not needed. and can really throw a game at that point. So definitely going to be huge for Tribe to make sure they make a smart engagement here if they want to close out the game. They are a very squishy composition, and if NRG is able to find some damage onto Status or onto Mixi, they could force them out of the fight very quickly. 2 broken myths on Mixi, looking for that additional pierce.
I wanted to throw down the caution ping right there because Mixi was going really far into that choke point without having the rest of his team backing him up. But it looks like the Kraken's there. They were playing low and slow, and now Grass is going really low. He's not quite to the healing pad, and there's so much damage coming out to him from those chakrams. Bradley, same thing. He's getting taken down to half health. E36 doing his work with his impales. He's going low himself. Scarf ends up getting stunned up. Down goes Grass. And those death timers, 30 seconds. It's going to be a while before he gets out. Silly Smurf trying to defend here with Bradley. There's still a lot of damage. All that CP damage coming down, 300-something damage. Bradley's going to have to retreat back onto the healing pad. Mixi's going really low, and he gets taken out, but he's not alone. Silly Smurf goes down too, and it's 2v1 with the Kraken aiding the side of Tribe. This Vayne is going to shatter, and there's nothing that Energy can do about it. There goes the ace. Boom goes the Vayne Crystal, and that is game number 2 going on the side of Tribe Game.
Yeah, and actually, I'm pretty impressed at the play out of Tribe there. Again, they did go double Crystal, which can be a little bit risky, but I think a lot of what played out to their victory in that game is the build that Silly Smurf went. He went with the Sorrow Blade Breaking Point Tornado Trigger on this Kestrel and just wasn't able to find the damage that we really needed to see out of Kestrel for them to be able to find a fight. The Carry Grace, again, doesn't offer a lot of damage because you spend a lot of time in fights using your Holy Nova looking for stuns and using your Divine Intervention trying to save yourself and your team. So that really takes away from the damage potential that your team is able to put out.
Yeah, I agreed. I would have liked to have seen maybe a double Sorrow Blade, double Tyrant's Monocle on Silly Smurf, but with this build we have here, it looked like she was going for more sustain and attack speed in combat, but there was no way that she was able to survive very much, and her one-shot, one-kills were connecting sometimes, but that's not the kind of damage that I didn't see the kind of damage that I would normally expect. Well, that's congratulations to Tribe for winning that, and we're actually going to be ending up going to a game 3, and we're going to see how it turns out. Let's go ahead and turn it back to the desk with Dragonborn.
Hey, thanks guys so much. It was a really good game. A lot to talk about there, Day, before we get into game number 3, and we will be getting into game number 3 as fast as we can. But really, ultimately, kind of a risky decision by both teams doing a little bit off-meta stuff. We did see Grace weapon, really wasn't weapon, right? It was that tension bow with a shatter glass, and then we saw double CP coming out from Tribe. Now, I think what was most interesting was the double CP because Idris could have gone weapon in the lane. So why did we see Tribe decide to focus on, no, we're going to have Idris go Crystal as well with the Scarf?
Well, I think the real thought process there was, again, if Idris dives in, Kestrel with those glimmer shots can really force Idris out of the fight very, very quickly. So what Tribe did was they went with that Crystal Idris just to have the additional range carry instead of the melee. And what that did is that allowed E36 to really soak up a lot of the damage that Silly Smurf was able to poke out with those glimmer shots, as well as be right in his face, get those beautiful impales that we saw out of E36, as well as the good Githian walls. And that really just set Tribe up to win there. Again, I would have liked to see the Grace go into that carry position and go weapon with then the Crystal Kestrel, because obviously Crystal Kestrel has a lot more poke potential than the weapon version. The weapon's able to sustain more throughout the fights, as well as with E36 then being that only frontline hero. If we would have had some bait out of NRG and, get him to walk into one of those traps, get a good active camo stun down, that really could have swung those fights. I just don't think that half weapon, half Crystal Grace works.
Yeah, and it was risky, like you said. I mean, if you're going to put yourself into a position with a very strong front line like we saw NRG have, you don't need to worry about the sustain. The burst is okay, and so I'm a little surprised they didn't go with that Crystal Kestrel for that reason. You would have been able to blow up, and a lot of that distraction that Grace provided was really good at helping there, but unfortunately, Grace, had to do a lot of her heal on other members of the team. She often you saw Grasscoon got caught out a lot, right? Where he's too far, he's trying to land a Holy Nova, he's trying to make a whole bunch of plays work, but near the end of the game especially, there was a lot of blocks. It just looked like Tribe was way more composed to deal with that crowd control, and there was very little that we saw Energy effectively, combo together. We saw Forced Accords were getting blocked consistently, so definitely a different looking Tribe after Mixie shoving in, and more importantly, looking very good as they dealt with some of that early aggression. So that kind of definitely Energy throwing some curveballs at them, but they handled those pitches quite nicely.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job. I definitely think this game number 3 could go either way. Again, having Mixie back onto this Tribe roster, though, I definitely think is the game changer. And, we gave that last player to watch over to Silly Smurf. I think going into game number 3 after the performance Mixie just had, he will be our HyperX player of the game to watch going forward here. For Tribe offers a pretty sizable hero pool, right, as well as we've seen time and time again, Mixie, when he does bring his A game, he can really compete with anybody at the highest level of gameplay. So definitely going to be that impactful member that we expect him to be for Tribe.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say he's really been kind of a standout player in a lot of ways with Tribe, kind of helping them rise to the occasion. So when you take a look at how he's been, he's been absolutely enormous coming onto this roster after Pond the original left, and I think really helping improve overall Tribe's performance through the challengers. They just haven't found the right composition, the right push, the momentum they need to make it all the way into the Vainglory 8 just yet. But they definitely, have had some success against some really good teams as well throughout the last couple of seasons with this roster. So definitely want to keep an eye on Mixie, guys, as that is our X Factor here, HyperX X Factor, as the nominee just mentioned. It could go a very long way. Now, with that, we are just about ready to get into draft for game number 3. Day, I need you to help me break down for everybody and the viewers, what does NRG need to win? Like, what are the compositions that we saw kind of worked for them, what they can use, and what does really Tribe need to do to finish this series? They're going to have that comeback here to close it out, potentially, if they rise over NRG.
I do think the win condition here, even before we get into the draft, is easier for the side of Tribe to create, just because we now have the main lineup here. Again, for the side of NRG, we do have Grass coming in from, again, normally a captain main, going to be playing in the jungle, going up against Status, one of the best challenger players, junglers, in my opinion. Definitely able to compete at that Vainglory 8 level. Definitely going to be difficult for Grass, who has not been a competitive player for a while, at least not with a huge amount of success. Coming a little bit off of that coaching position that he's really taken over. So I do think Tribe has the upper hand just in that sense, but going into this game, I definitely expect to see very likely a Grace Catherine ban, maybe a Lyra Catherine ban, maybe even a Grace Lyra ban. There is the Lyra, and it'll very likely be a Catherine now out of NRG. I think that's just the safest ban, and there it is. So now that gives the Grace on over to E36.
Yeah, this is the exact first 2 bans that we saw in game number 2. So not surprising. Lyra is one of those healers that you don't want to see get through. Grace is obviously going to be picked here for A side. Tribe could try something unique, but we typically do see Grace here. Or if they really feel Idris is that key for NRG and they want to keep that away, they could pick Idris first. It's a little risky, though, to give Grace over to NRG in that manner. So that's not what we're going to see.
Yeah, definitely want to lock in that Grace pick. It did, again, have some nerfs in this recent patch. Definitely still a strong game-changing pick. Again, it is possible to flex it, I think, more easily into that weapon carry role, but this will very likely be E36 on the Grace. That is a Idris pick up now for the side of NRG. We've seen Silly Smurf have a good performance on this in game number 1. They banned away the Glaive, just like they did in game number 1. I think the biggest struggle for Silly Smurf here is that we now have Mixie back on the table, and Mixie, obviously the lane main for the team, gonna have a lot easier time going into this Idris than we saw in Status again.
He had the Baron last time, and it wasn't as effective. Lance is going to be the ban. That's interesting because we do know that Grasscoon's Cruel was much better than what we saw him play many other heroes throughout this tournament. So I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't, think about taking away Lance. Not sure Lance was like the real difference maker. We could expect to see an Arden or a Finn in either case. Typically, I think if they go with like something like a Cruel, you would see maybe an Arden picked next. So I'm really kind of interested to see what Tribe does here. Now, if NRG doesn't pick a support, they do pick. So they do pick Arden. Tribe now, I think, by all accounts, should probably go with that Baron pick. Mixi's Baron has a very strong success rate in a lot of these tournaments.
I definitely think that's still a risky pick. Again, with the nerfs to Baron, he does have about a 10% lower damage capability, as well as, obviously, we have the Idris and the Arden on the table, who should function pretty well into Baron. I almost think, they do lock it in. I was going to say, I almost think you go with a Kestrel or maybe even a Gwen here, but it is instead a Baron and a Scarf pickup.
Yeah, Status.
It's going to be interesting to see what this last pick now is for Energy.
Status picking up the Scarf in the jungle. It's not a hero that he's known for. Status typically known for those hyper-aggressive junglers like Akashka, but, I mean, Scarf has really found his place in the meta as that crystal jungler, just being able to just do a lot of sustain even early on, which typically he's a very strong late-game hero, but instead he can play very effectively in the jungle even in the early minute.
He definitely can, and Scarf is one of those heroes that, can be very back and forth, and it does look like it's going to be a Kestrel locked in for the side of NRG. So a little bit interesting here, as both of the carries are ranged. Definitely going to be looking for grass to get on this Kestrel. Very likely going to be a jungle Crystal Kestrel and get a lot of sheer poke damage down in the lane. Rotate up. Try to make sure that Mixi doesn't have the easiest time farming up on Baron. And that's really the win condition here for NRG, is just make sure that Mixi is not able to get to that late game Baron that we know he excels so well on.
Yeah, that's for sure, and there's a lot of late game on Tribe. What I would say, though, their risk is when you look at how NRG's composition is, NRG does have the potential to burst them down early, take some of those objectives, maybe prevent that late game synergy that can happen. Tribe, though, we've seen them play this with the Baron pick. They have Grace. I think E36, he's really been a phenomenal support of late, and I think you give him a really strong support like this, you kind of give him some success to winning or helping get his team over the hump to win. So I definitely think he's one to watch out for in this game. Overall, though, it's a lot different than what we saw in Game 1, and more importantly, Mixi, he's sitting on that Baron. That could be the difference maker, just how the Baron play is with Mixi versus Status.
Yeah, and again, having Mixi on this roster is really the strong suit for Tribe. Mixi, very historic player in the Vainglory competitive community. Definitely a game changer too, and being on this Baron, again, it was only about a 10% nerf from Baron. If he does make it to late game, he's not quite as deadly as before, but definitely still has a lot of potential. One of the things in game number 1 that I made, or that I thought the Baron didn't work out the best to, was that he didn't go with any Pierce, and there was a lot of armor built on the side of NRG, so definitely some opportunity here. As I get into the game here now.
Yeah, we're just waiting on you, Day, to get going, so we should be ready to jump in this matchup. Yeah, I agree. You mentioned that. I heard you talk about that during the cast of Game 1. Granted, you're talking about Status, who typically is that jungler playing that lane position. I think there's a lot maybe of a transition that would have had to happen. I don't know, maybe Status isn't really ready for that. Filling in, of course, for his teammates until Mixi can come online here. And obviously seeing him come in Game 2 and really helping his team win that victory. Now you got to be a little bit concerned for NRG going into this game number 3.
Yeah, going into game number 3, so it'll be a pretty fun, exciting matchup. Again, we do have the Baron versus the Idris again. And again, Silly Smurf had a really good performance on this game number 1. We don't have the Krull coming out of Grasscoon, though. So maybe not really the same kind of potential here. It's going to be interesting to see if it is that Crystal Idris or if Silly Smurf does go with the weapon route.
We'll have to see. Guys, we are jumping in. It's game number 3 of our first series tonight. Going to hand it over to Dedomine and, of course, Sean Estido to take us into this final game of this series.
Thank you, Dragonborn. And here we go into game number 3 of Tribe versus NRG. And looks like we have them energy and tribe starting as we'd expect. Looks like we have grass actually picking up double crystal bit, so it is going to be a crystal kestrel. And she's just going to be starting at her back a little bit defensively over there. We've got Mixi and Silly Smurf farming up in lane as we would expect. And it looks like a bit of a surprise here. Bradley is actually trying to steal away that mid treant over there, doing a little bit of work on it. But it looks like he's caught out of position and he's getting blown up a little bit. The question is, will E36 be able to take him down? No, he does not. And Bradley's just retreating to his tri-bush and placing down some vision a little bit early there. Getting them to prevent those early invades, especially from Grace. We always see those early invades coming out, or at least players like to do a little bit of that. She's just so fast. And the Elder Treant actually ends up going over to grass on the side of NRG.
Yeah, definitely off to a pretty even start. You mentioned that Bradley did try to steal away that farm, wasn't quite able to get it. He was forced out of the enemy jungle, so he didn't drop a life though, so he didn't give anything over, but he also didn't take anything in return, so not too terrible for NRG. He's being a little bit of a nuisance, which is really what we want to see. Grasscoon obviously going with the Crystal Kestrel, going to have a lot of opportunity to poke E36 out early on in a fight. Again, the real win condition for Tribe with this Scarf, Baron, Grace composition is just make it to the late game. If Silly Smurf and Grass can take advantage early, they do have some opportunity to still shut Tribe down and win this. But again, Mixi, huge performances on Baron. Definitely going to be a threat moving on into the mid to late game.
Yeah, we have a little bit of poke damage coming out from the E36, hitting with those poking in there with her A's, but she's not. The Benediction's not able to do too much. Mixi's got some pretty good farm right now. He's sitting on 22 CS, but Silly Smurf is right there with him, actually, over at 22 as well. And they're just sitting up there in the lane, farming it up. Bradley's going really low, actually. And he could get... Oh, he ends up getting taken out. Scarf just melts him. And... Oh, my goodness. And the fronts are going to be stolen right here.
Yeah, the blind Spitfire over the wall does steal away Grass's Treant. That was a little bit of salt rubbed in Grass's face there. He's a little bit of ahead of Status here in the jungle. But now Status turning his attention onto this Elder Treant, as Mixi takes this opportunity to recall and purchase a couple items, gets himself some boots. Working into that Sorrow Blade, definitely going to have a pretty sizable punch coming once he gets that complete. Not the game-changing Baron that we know, but as the game goes later on, we'll definitely get to that point. Grasscoon working into a Shatterglass of his own here on this Kestrel. Going to be interesting to see if he goes double Shatterglass or if he does go into that Shatterglass Clockwork build. I do think they both have their ups and downs. Obviously, the double Shatterglass puts out just a huge amount of damage, whereas the Shatterglass and the Clockwork really provides you a lot of sustainable Glimmer Shots throughout a fight. You definitely have more energy management to use your active camos and your Glimmer Shots.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing some pretty similar builds coming out of Status and Grass right now. They're both working towards that Shatterglass. Mixi, he's not being denied farm as much as the win condition allows for NRG, but he's got a wave pushed up against this turret. He's able to take it down, and he's sitting on 47 farms, so he's just a little bit ahead of Silly Smurf right now in lane. And it looks like they rotate down, and they're just going to go down and buy. And we already see Mixi picking up that Sorrow Blade, so he's going to be able to do some pretty good damage once he gets back up there. And Jump Jets comes out. He's able to hit a couple of members of NRG in that Mustache Bush, but he's going to have to retreat because he was just way too close to them.
Yeah, Mixi taking a lot of damage from Grass here with these Glimmer Shots. Actually, a couple fine status as well. Again, this game is going to be about NRG pushing this aggression early. And they have been doing so pretty well. E36 very, very low. Fountain is not burned by either team yet, though. And Silly Smurf needs to get an opportunity here soon to make it down to shop and get that Sorrow Blade complete as soon as possible.
Yeah, that way, once he does that, he's going to have his Hero Perk unlocked, and he's actually going really low. Status doing tons of work with those Spitfires, connecting on there, and that Fan the Flames doing a lot of damage on there. Even Bradley's going down low, too. He's down to half health, and Grass is actually getting some good glimmer shots into that Mustache Bush. E36 comes out with Holy Nova, but doesn't connect, and we have some more poke coming out from Silly Smurf, throwing those chakrams into the bush, but we got some siege going on this turret here, and the members of NRG from Tribe. This turret's taken down to about 75% of its health, so there's looks like we have a disengage here from both teams, and it looks like Tribe has the upper hand at the moment.
Tribe does have an upper hand. They have a little additional gold in their pocket, as well as some additional damage down on that turret. Again, NRG was doing a really good job of really applying that lane pressure, but now at 6 minutes here, Grass does not have a Shatterglass complete, and we have a Frostburn complete out of status, so we definitely need to see Grass get some additional crystal power here so they can really take the advantage that they have and try to push away with it. If we play too passive from NRG here, it's just going to make it easier and easier for Tribe to close out the game.
Yeah, and those jump jets actually come out from Mixi. Speaking of playing passive, NRG actually is letting Tribe play aggressive, and they just keep throwing down these double attacks coming out of Mixi. One shot, one kill comes out, connects with E36. He's taken down to half health. Chakram comes out from Silly Smurf, doesn't connect, and looks like there's a lot of posturing here in the lane. Tribe's going to probably go ahead and try sieging this turret again. Mixi could easily do it. He's got the damage with that Sorrow Blade there. And it looks like there's Status is getting caught out a little bit. He's down he's down pretty low, but the sustain comes out. There's a bit of healing coming out, and he's able to stay there on the back line. Glimmer shots coming out onto E36 from Grass, and Bradley's just hanging out in that mustache bush, trying to provide some vision. Spitfire's coming out, don't connect, and it looks like we're gonna go into another fight here. Status going pretty low, taken down to half health. Goop comes out. Fan the Flames was on Bradley, cleared up now. And Silly Smurf just continuing to farm there, get his CS. Now he's sitting on 81 CS to Mixi's 86. And we have Tribe Gaming rotating down to go ahead and buy.
Yeah, and again, getting Mixi online here is really the biggest win situation for Tribe, as well as obviously Status on this Scarf, another late game carry. Good Spitfire finding Bradley brings him a little bit below half health, and if Tribe makes a good rotation up with Bradley being forced to recall, they could find some damage on the turret, but instead they're going to turn their attention onto the gold mine, and this could potentially bait a fight out of NRG here.
Oh my goodness. E36 taken so low, but we actually saw Status. He's taken out. Mixi's going pretty low too, but Divine Intervention comes out, and Silly Smurf is just sticking to him. Will he be able to do it? Oh, the double jump jets. The double auto attacks from the jump jets just ends up taking out Silly Smurf, and it looks like the Tribe is just going to have to retreat underneath the turret. Those glimmer shots coming out of Grass are doing some serious work. Bradley's still there, hanging out in the mustache bush. He's coming in. Now it's a 2v1 situation. The Vanguard takes him out. Bradley taking out Captain Status, taking out two of the members of oh my goodness, of Tribe, and they're just going to have to respawn at base. Status all alone, going through his jungle. What a play.
Yeah, really good plays out of Bradley there, and we have to point out that Silly Smurf actually did steal away that gold mine, and then was able to find 2 kills off the back of it. They did go over to Bradley, so definitely a little bit of a boost there for NRG, but maybe not the person they wanted to get that gold onto. Dragon Breath coming out of Status doesn't find anything, and it's going to force Silly Smurf back.
Yeah, it's going to force energy on the Bradley taken out by the Benediction, and Silly Smurf's down to half health. The Tribe is actually sieging this turret, and it looks like it's going to be going down. And yeah, down it goes. Vision comes out onto Silly Smurf, and it looks like Tribe are just hanging out here. It's a 3v2 situation. Mixi is actually going in. Double auto attacks coming out, taking Silly Smurf really low. Divine Intervention is going to go and heal up Mixi, keep him sustainable in this battle. Tribe is retreating into the Tri-Bush on the jungle of NRG, but E36 comes in with another Benediction, and oh my goodness, this is just so much action happening here. 10 minutes in, one shot, one kill connects onto E36, and he's taken down so low. Sliver of health, but they're now they feel they're going to go ahead and have to retreat into their jungle, and maybe even recall back to base, buy some items and fill up on health.
Yeah, and as Mixi cleans out this wave here in the lane, he should have enough gold to recall and get a monocle complete. We do see the tension bow giving that pierce coming out to Mixi. And again, this is actually huge for a Baron to be able to get through the armor that Silly Smurf is building. The Tyrant's Monocle is now complete. That is a third item for him, as well as Silly Smurf sitting incredibly far behind on his items right now. Nowhere near enough gold to complete a third tier 3 offensive item. Grasscoon working into that second Shatterglass, gonna provide a lot of additional poke with the amount of damage that this build does. I just think we're a little late in the game for where we want to see a double Shatterglass Kestrel. So definitely a bit of an edge falling off for NRG that I don't think they capitalized on early enough. And I think as this game goes on, it's just more and more likely going to go into the hands of Tribe. Scarf, Broken Myth complete. We got a fight breaking out right now, though.
Yeah, Mixi's going really low, and he just gets bursted down by Silly Smurf, sticking to him with that Shimmer Strike, and we got a 15-second respawn on that death timer. This is an opportunity here for NRG to capitalize on. They're doing a lot of work with those glimmer shots coming out from that mustache bush. Silly Smurf, the distraction allows Silly Smurf to take out that first turret, and we have NRG evening things up just a little bit for this game, but the fight's not over yet. Status is coming out. He's going to go ahead and try to hunt down Grass, throwing out those Spitfires. It's not happening. Even that Ion Cannon misses, but Benediction, and the Holy Nova locking down Grass, and it looks like Grass is just going to go ahead and get burned to death by Status. And now we have Tribe in the lane, working on pushing their wave up to this tier 2 turret.
Yeah, Grass did a good job there being a distraction. Oh my god, Mixi, the damage coming out onto Silly Smurf.
He takes Silly Smurf down to half health. There's so much damage coming down from the side of Tribe, and this turret is being sieged. Bradley's taken down really low himself. He throws out the Vanguard onto Silly Smurf. This is an opportunity here. One shot, one kill connects onto Mixi. He's going to have to jump jet away because he's just so low. There's mines everywhere in that Tribe bush, and he almost gets taken out.
Yeah, Silly Smurf has to be careful. Baron, Idris might be a counter to Baron, but it requires you getting poke damage down first, so having your Kestrel there with you is going to be really huge for this comp to work. Grass has gone with a Frostburn as a second tier 3 item instead of the Shatterglass, so providing a little additional slow in the trade-off for the additional damage. Silly Smurf now with the breaking point complete is going to be able to ramp up as these fights go on, but against a Baron Scarf composition, I'm not sure ramp up damage is really what you want. I think you really just need to go for some execution, and now Grass is dead in the jungle, gets caught out as Tribe collapse onto the jungle shop.
Yeah, Grass was caught way out of position there in the jungle shop, and now it's a 2v3 situation in the lane. Tribe knows this, NRG knows this, so they're just going to have to rotate down and go back into their jungle. Looks like they're going into the jungle shop to go ahead and buy. Tribe is scouring the mustache bush, looking for them, popping those mines, and now it looks like there may be a little bit of engage breaking out. Status is definitely looking for a fight. Popping that mine, one shot, one kill, connects onto Mixi again, and he's taken down to about half health. He's going to have to recall back to base. Tribe not looking for a fight right now, but NRG are really, really trying to push back here against Tribe in this game.
Yeah, Mixi has his fourth item complete now, though. And again, the big reason Tribe didn't fight there was that one shot, one kill did find Mixi, brought him down low. And again, that's the win condition for NRG here, is they get poke damage down onto Mixi, and that's what allows Silly Smurf to jump in and get that execution style attack down and really bring Baron out of a fight. But now we have Tribe engaging very heavily.
Yeah, absolutely, and we actually see Status going down really low here. He's taken down, but the Divine Intervention is going to come out. He's going to get healed up Bradley's going super low, taken down by those double auto attacks coming out of Mixi. Silly Smurf is all alone, out of position. He's taken down. Mixi falls. Status and Grass are the only two left in the jungle, but Status is really low, and Grass is chasing him down with that movement speed he has from his active camo. Thinks he's over there at the fronts, but he's not. He's actually going towards the Crystal Sentry, and Status gonna recall home. Get out of harm's way.
That was actually a really good turnaround fight there for NRG. Silly Smurf came back in and was able to find a double kill, so getting a little additional gold in his pocket is going to allow him to complete that metal jacket now. So again, really, the Pierce on Mixi is what's going to help them throughout these fights. Obviously, the damage has to be focused correctly. If Grass gets caught out, that can be a really bad fight for NRG very, very quickly. But if Grass is able to get a lot of poke damage down, then there's a lot of opportunity then for Silly Smurf to find the damage he needs to bring down this tribe roster.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the type of optimization we're seeing out of both these teams. We actually saw a Slumbering Husk over there on Status that prevented a lot of initial damage when they started that team fight, but he did end up going down. And it just feels like all these teams are going for glass cannon right now, and they're just trying to trade a lot of damage on each other. When the only people they're able to sustain really well in the fights seem to be Bradley and E36, since they're the captains, and they've just got so much tankiness.
Yeah, definitely still opportunity for both of these teams, especially if Grass is able to get some good active camo stuns down. That's something that we haven't seen all game out of this Kestrels. We haven't seen a good trap stun come out. A good one kill hits, though.
Yeah, connects on the Mixi, taking him down really low again. Bradley throws down his gauntlet, but doesn't trap anybody from Tribe Gaming in there. Silly Smurf caught a little bit out of position, gets some of the Spitfire on him. Status Slumbering Husk activates. He's not going to have that available for a while. And NRG is retreating back to their jungle. Go ahead and keep farming up. But Tribe's actually throwing out some players. They're looking for a fight. One shot, one kill. Connects once again. This just keeps happening. It's like deja vu, Domine. Where we have Mixi actually jump jetting away to get to a safe position. He needs to get on that backline and stop fronting this damage.
Yeah, Grass taking a couple hits here from the Kraken is going to miss out on a chunk of his health. The one-shot, one kills have been finding Mixi pretty cleanly, getting a lot of damage down. However, Grass also hasn't really had the energy to continue fighting. We do see the Void Battery recovering his energy a bit, as well as obviously the healing from the Treant giving him some additional. But in the middle of these fights, he's running out of energy really quickly, and we got to see the either the Eve or the Clockwork get finished here as soon as we can. It is the Eve of Harvest, so he will have some healing, but again, Grass has to find some way to land a active camo stun if they really want to take a fight quickly. Another one-shot, one-kill finds Mixi, but by the time the fight breaks out, Mixi will probably be in a very safe place. And, again, Grass has to use his kit to his advantage. He has to get the additional damage down out of these stuns if they want to find a win here.
Yeah, I feel like he needs to hold those one-shot, one-kills until we see Tribe disengaging maybe with low health bars. That would be an opportune moment to do it. And with the active camo traps, so he throws out one-shot, one-kill there, but doesn't connect with anybody. And it looks like they are actually going in for an engage in the mustache bush. Gauntlet comes down. We have Silly Smurf going really low down to half health. But Mixi actually blocks the gauntlet, and he's able to get out. He's actually taken down by Spitfires. And Bradley, he's out of position, going really low. E36 and Status hunting him down. He's taken out as well. Impressive. Grass all alone. He needs to use, this would be the time to use active camo traps, but it's actually blocked up, and Grass all alone trying to throw out those glimmer shots. Is he able to do it? No, he's not. Divine Intervention comes out from E36, stunned up with active camo trap, but the holy shields, the holy Nova, and Grass takes out Status, and now Grass is all alone. E36 really low, one shot, one kill. When it needed to hit, missed. And we have a disengage from Grass to go ahead and farm up, heal up, and it looks like the same goes for E36 actually poking around a little bit. What an engage in the jungle.
Yeah, I definitely think Status, as low on health as he was, should have just backed off They had a 2-for-1 trade in that last fight, and chasing Grass into the jungle definitely brought that to a 2-to-2 trade. And now Grass does have some additional energy regeneration, so he should be able to sustain those Glimmer shots and active camos through a fight a little bit easier here. But again, as this game goes on, it's looking easier and easier for Tribe. Pretty negligible gold advantage going on over to the side of NRG, a couple hundred. Nothing major, but again, we have to see some good use of active camo. If you're not going to get stuns with the active camo, you have to use it to reposition yourself in a way that allows you to get to the back line and blow up Mixi.
Yeah, and actually Benediction comes down from E36 on the grass, but it doesn't do much, slows him up a little bit. We have a disengage coming here from NRG. They're going to try to fall back under their turret. E36 actually getting blown up by those Glimmer shots. One shot, one kill comes out, but this was not the right time. Grass, you're getting melted here by Scarf, and he's throwing out those Glimmer shots, not much. We have NRG going just so low, and their turret gets destroyed as well. Auto attacks, are they going to come out? And there goes Grass, taken down by Tribe. Bradley is super low too. He's burning to death. He's burning. What's going to happen? And Tribe looking for... Nope, they're actually going to go ahead and disengage. But that leaves them at 11-8 now at 21 minutes in, down to the choke point turret.
Yeah, and getting that second turret there is going to really help bring Status into a comfortable position. I'm interested to see if he does go with some additional crystal power, if he goes into some more defense. But Tribe taking this opportunity to start up the Kraken, very, very risky with Silly Smurf and Bradley alive.
Yeah, they're taking that Kraken pretty low, but Silly Smurf's going really low himself too, and Mixi's actually doing quite a bit of damage, and Tribe takes the Kraken. They're going to get their heal on that extra gold, and we're actually going to be seeing them pushing this choke point turret now. And this is a really good opportunity for Tribe to finish this game.
Yeah, again, we still have to see smart engagements out of Tribe. Too many teams get the Kraken, push too hard, and then give away kills. And these fights have been very back and forth, so if NRG is able to find a good fight here, they definitely could turn this game around still. Grasscoon, there's the active camos that we're really looking for, hoping Mixi walks into it. And will he?
Yeah, he is in it, and it does connect. 492 damage comes out. Silly Smurf's going to have to go back to the healing pad. The Status throwing down those burning goops. The turret falls, and the Kraken's walking into the base now, down to these last two crystal turrets. Silly Smurf doing some work. Grass tries to throw out the one-shot, one-kill, and doesn't do much. Grass is going really low, and we have Silly Smurf doing tons of damage, but Divine Intervention comes out on the Mixi, heals him up, and Mixi does end up going down. So does Silly Smurf, though. Bradley taken down really low as well. The question is, will he be able to survive? No, he doesn't. And this first crystal turret is going down. Status taken really low, and an ace comes out, and this should be game right here for Tribe.
This should be game going on over to Tribe again. As the game goes on, the win condition for Tribe got easier and easier as Scarf and Baron come to their really online state. There's just so much damage that they can do, both in Siege and as well onto the enemy team. Again, I feel like Grass just didn't come online soon enough on this Kestrel, and that really was part of the downfall. They didn't play aggressive enough in the early game and really push their win condition the way they needed to.
Yeah, there was just so many one-shot, one-kills that were landing, and they were great, but they weren't at the right times. The active camo traps were not being used appropriately as well. I would have liked to have seen maybe more an Atlas Pauldron for Silly Smurf. We didn't see that. We saw the Metal Jacket instead. If Silly Smurf had gone in Atlas Pauldron, it could have slowed down the damage coming out of Mixi. But yeah, that actually ends up going over to Tribe as a victory, 14-9 over NRG in this game 3 of the series. And let's throw it back over to Dragonborn at the desk.
Oh, thank you guys so much. That was a pretty close series, much closer than I think we were anticipating. Denominator we talked about early on. Granted, Mixi was not playing game number 1. He ended up getting subbed in game number 2 and 3, and it was a much better performance by Tribe in those matchups. I think it's also worth noting, though, that even in game 3, though, that was surprisingly close. A lot of back and forth. What was really, like, your gauge when you looked at that matchup? You kind of were seeing how, like, it was a lot of struggles by Tribe to try to push through until they finally got that last Kraken push. What were some of those key components there? Was it status on the Scarf play? Was that not quite what, it's not his normal kind of jungle composition? Or was it just maybe Mixi a little rusty here in the lane?
I think there was a lot of mispositioning plays out of Tribe there, sometimes committing too aggressive when they were low on health or low on energy. One thing that NRG was doing well is in the early game, there was a lot of rotations up to the lane from Kestrel, and they pushed the lane very heavily, but then they gave up that aggression. They gave up that pushing power that they really had. And that's something that they needed to really keep up on. We really needed to see a lot more siege in the lane out of that Crystal Kestrel to really be able to take the advantage. Again, you want to get ahead of the Scarf and Baron. You want to shut them out as early as possible. And NRG had the opportunity. Again, they were doing a good job coming into the lane, forcing that wave under turret. But then they weren't getting any damage down on the turret from that point on, and it resulted in a late turret for them. The first turret did go over to Tribe, and they just weren't able to capitalize when they needed to.
Yeah, and that's worth noting that, you have this late game composition with Tribe, with the Baron, with the Scarf. They're going to get online. They're going to start scaling much better into late game. And although Crystal Kestrel, it does a lot of damage, there's a lot of potential, like, crowd control to hold her in place. The Goop was a very effective one that Scarf was able to continuously pressure, even on Idris. It was hard to maneuver around that, even if you were this more mobile composition that Energy had. But ultimately, fantastic series. Really, really good play. Well played by both these teams. I'm impressed, but unfortunately it's single elimination. That means Energy's out. Tribe moves on to the next round, and we are going to be getting ready for the next series. We're going to take a quick break, everybody. As we get ready, we got to do a little bit of behind the scenes work here, but when we come back, we'll be getting Immortals. We'll be up next playing against Fable GG in the number 1 seed versus the lower 16 seed. You're not going to miss the action, guys, here in a few moments.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are getting ready for our second series of the night, our second and only series, final series here, as it is going to be number 1 seeded Mortals. They are the dominant seed coming into this tournament, looking to continue that run. They had a strong run, making it to the live championship that's going to be coming up here September 8th through 10th. You're not going to want to miss that as well. But Immortals now coming into this tournament, looking to continue that spree. To dominate, we've talked a lot about this roster in the past. We've seen them play. They really turned it on at the end of the season. So what can we really expect coming into VIS Professional here in summer, especially considering this is now on 2.7?
Well, we do have a little bit of an interesting roster lineup here from Immortals, so it does not look like we have T-Tigers playing, so that is definitely going to be a little bit of a hit out of the performance potential of this Immortals team. Now, I do think Zelciar is a very capable substitute for them. Very likely going to be in the jungle position here for Tiggs, I presume, and leave Dienzio to his own devices in the lane, where he really just excels at the highest capable level. And of course, we have Max Green here, the captain. But we also have on the other side, we do have Jamar, Adrian, and Izzy G, who we've seen have really good performances, as well as maybe some more questionable performances out of this this lineup here. We've seen games where they just look like they can compete at the top, and then we've seen other games where, you know, it looks like they have a lot to work on. So definitely a team that can take games off of Immortals, specifically with the substitute in here, maybe not the fine-tuned synergy like we've seen out of Immortals in the last week of the VG8. But I definitely think just on a skill base, we do have to give the edge on over to Immortals, and that really puts me on Max Green for the player to watch this game. He's really grown a lot as the captain for this team, and really fine-tuned some of his skills. So definitely going to be exciting to see what he brings to the table today.
Yeah, he's been a phenomenal player as a support role, and normally it's not the support that is the dominant player in the team, or at least gets the recognition, but he really has shown that he can meld this team together. But being so young, being so new to this high level of competitive side of Vainglory, and then just to come in so cool, collective. I mean, he really brings that cohesiveness to Immortals roster, and you know, they made it to the live championship that's coming up because they played together when it mattered, when it counted. So very, very important, of course, for this roster. We are looking to start the draft in just a few seconds as we just check with the teams here, but I do, you know, obviously the favorites is Immortals. Immortals, you know, the number 1 seed in this tournament, looking to come in here really, really strong today. Anything that you could say, just say you've done a lot of research on Immortals. Now, Excelsior coming in is a little bit of a different look, but ultimately still a very, very strong roster.
I just want to see Zelciar Saw. That's all I want to see here. At least one game of some Zelciar Saw. But again, I do think it is going to be Zelciar in that jungle position. We have the Grace coming off the table here early out of the side of Immortals. And this is very likely going to be a Catherine or a Lyra ban away from the B side. I want to lean more towards that Catherine. She's just such a huge impact as a captain since she's got the changes to heroic perk. Obviously now give her 2 armor and 2 shield per stack, as well as the sizable buff to the Echo and Null Wave items. Can definitely make Catherine a huge threat, and there it comes off the table. Yeah, not surprised at all. That is going to give the Lyra over to Max Greens. It is one of his preferred captains, just allowing Dienzio to sustain easier through the early game, gets him in a more comfortable position for that late game dominating force that we know Dienzio to be. So definitely going to be a little bit of a difficult decision here out of the side, out of the B side, just to see, you know, do we give that Vox over? No, we don't. So they obviously don't want to give the Vox Lyra over to Dienzio. It's going to be interesting to see what they ban away here now, though. Do we ban away the Baron, who we know is pretty decent into Vox? Do we ban away the Ringo that we know Dienzio's had a good performance on? Is the Baron, and this is now very likely going to be... there's an opportunity here. Oh, they actually ban away the Celeste. I was going to say the opportunity here where they could ban away the Arden and not give the Arden Vox over to the side of Fable. but they do go with the Celeste, and that's a little bit of an interesting ban to me. I almost think that's more of a throwaway ban than anything else.
Well, it could be just something that you don't want to have to go against. I mean, Celeste jungle has had a little bit of a rise in the meta. You've seen like Scarf and Celeste. Kestrel's gonna be the pick here. Fable GG kind of going with a very standard composition. Saw, so Excelsior is famous for this Saw. I mean, so many people know Saw is that toxic player. Nobody wants to play against this hero. But if anybody plays it well and makes it more of an art form, it is Excelsior. He is pretty famous for it.
Definitely, and with the Adagio and the Lyra, it's going to give a lot of sustain for the Saw in the lane, as well as very likely going to be that Crystal Adagio, going to give the additional push power for this Saw push comp. I'm going to cry if it's Dienzio on Saw, though I wanted to cast a LCR Saw game for so long. So it ought to be exciting to see what they pick here to try to counter this. It is the Lance, who should have a pretty easy time rooting up this Saw as the movement speed is incredibly low. It's just going to be kind of difficult with all the sustain that there is.
And it's, you know, like you said, we don't know how, like, the Adagio is going to mesh exactly into this composition, right? Like, likely it's going to be a lane Adagio. It could be, and Excelsior will be that jungle Saw. That's what we agree is likely how the composition.
No, I think it's going to be Dienzio in the jungle on the Adagio and Excelsior in the lane with Saw. Seeing the way the draft went here, I think that's the way we're going.
It could go either way, but either way, regardless, it is going to be very problematic for the side of Fable GG. Plus, the mechanical skills alone, Zio on Adagio, he's like old school in a lot of ways. He has many comparisons to him as far as his mechanical play, and of course, we all know mechanically Adagio has has that ability to really surprise you with a lot of, if you can stutter step correctly, to get into those matchups, to get in when you're facing, so even 1v1 against other laners can be very potent. We are waiting to get this match going in just a few seconds, everybody. Once we do, we'll be jumping right into it. But of course, I think safe to say, exciting to see Excelsior on the Saw. Is there anything Fable could do successfully to shut the Saw down early?
I mean, they really just have to put the aggression on with this Kestrel and Lance composition. It's a very early game. Focus, so if they can get a good impale down and then follow it up with some clean number shots, there's a lot of potential that we could push this Saw out. It's just going to be kind of difficult. Again, Excelsior, a player that is known for his Saw, is very good at blocking out those Atlases when they come in telegraphed. It is Excelsior on the Saw, which is going to put Dienzio on that Adagio. Jorg picking up the Kestrel, and Adrian picking up the Vox for the lane.
Yeah, so it's, not necessarily surprising. Of course, anything out of Fable, GG, they're playing their picks. Excelsior, of course, is playing the Saw, Zio, Adagio. We'll have to see who goes lane and jungle. That'll be the real test here, the denominator, to see, who wins that coin flip. But obviously, Max Green on the Lyra, that is a very strong pick for him. He is a fantastic support, but Lyra, he became pretty famous for as well, being very effective. So we're into the matchup, guys. So I'm going to kick it over to our casters, Sean Estito and Denominate. Gentlemen, take it away.
Dragonborn, thank you very much. Here we are in game number 1 of Immortals versus Fable GG. And I wanted to throw out some stats, actually, to start it off. I was looking at Izzy's stats, and he likes to play Lancelot. He's actually at 53%. I think he's 53% win rate with his Lance. So if there's anything that we're going to do, and there's an early engage already, if there's anything that Izzy needs to do here, he needs to land those impales and keep playing his Lance game pretty well. And that could be one of the win conditions that we could meet here for Fable GG. Max Green and Dienzio are actually already stealing away that mid Treant. Oh, but the J-Bar actually ends up taking it away from them. Thank goodness for that. And now we have a 2v2 situation here in the lane with Dienzio, Max Green on the side of Immortals. And Adrian and Izzy are just hanging out in their mustache bush, trying to avoid some of the pressure that we're feeling here. Excelsior coming in with a suppressing fire from his Saw, and he's already doing some work onto Adrian. Adrian's forced to fall back under the turret.
Yeah, it does look like we might have Zelsier on the jungle saw, but I expect him to have a lot of time spent in the lane coming up and making sure that Adrian has the most difficult time farming possible. It could also just be a hyper carry, get Zelsier a lot of farm. He does get poked out by some glimmers there, though, and is going to have to be forced back to base. And so far, a pretty interesting start here for both teams. Some good root coming out of Izzy, though.
Yeah, Izzy landed that impale on Max Green, but Max Green was able to, use Sigil, heal up a little bit, and he's going to have to port. He looks like he's going to recall anyway. Another root. These roots keep dropping on Immortals from Fable. It doesn't do too much to Dienzio, but he's just poking away, and it looks like there's a little bit of a disengage, and they're going to keep going back to their farming.
Yeah, Zelsier cleaning up the back, picking up as many weapon blades as he can. Again, gonna want to rotate up to the lane as frequently as possible so that we can get that heavy push out of this saw. Again, as the jungle saw, he doesn't have as much of a risk of getting impaled, obviously, since he won't be in the lane. He just does have to be careful about getting caught out, as well as has to be careful about the amount of damage that Jamar on this Crystal Kestrel will be able to do. Especially if he's pushing, he's going to be on that front line. And Adagio and Grace are really just not the best heroes to be paired with Saw to body block those abilities. And here we see the big damage going through, but Jamar dropping low.
Yeah, Jamar dropping really low. He's going to have to retreat under turret. Excelsior taking some damage too, but the first one to fall is actually Adrian. He's going to have to go back to base, respawn there, and we have another impale solidly landing on Dienzio from Izzy. Suppressing Fire takes Jamar really low, but he escapes with a sliver of his life. Max Green's taken down low as well, and the siege is really starting, but another root comes out from Izzy, and the Excelsior taken so low by that turret damage. Could another impale land on Izzy? I don't think it's going to happen. That would be diving too deep for Fable, and he's just going so low too, a sliver of his life. Adrian falling back to the 50-yard line and just pushing his wave up of the minions. And good engages coming out early game so far, with one kill in favor of Immortals so far.
Yeah, one kill definitely being huge. Getting that first blood gold onto Adagio. Really going to allow him to be a bigger threat early. And now Zelsier getting some of his farm stolen away by Jamar. This is the one downfall to Saw, is that he's incredibly slow and can't quite make it to the farm always when he needs it. But Suppressing Fire dropping onto Jamar.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a little bit of that engage, but Jamar and both him and Excelsior end up disengaging, falling back to the tri bushes. Izzy dropping into the jungle shop there to go ahead and pick up some items, throwing down some vision there in that tri bush. They need to go ahead and prevent any ganks from happening, especially with Saw. His attack speed, once he gets spun up, he's just so deadly, especially against squishy targets.
Yeah, definitely a huge threat to Vox just because of the range advantage he has. This game is really going to come down to both Izzy G and Jamar finding those impales followed up by those glimmer shots, as well as there's an opportunity for Jamar to get some scout traps down in the middle of the lane and find damage on LCR that way. Or active camo traps, my bad.
Suppressing Fire comes down and takes out Jamar. Even though Jamar was doing some really good work with those glimmer shots, it just wasn't enough, and Immortals just keep pushing this. And this is where the mechanical skill and practice for this team really comes in. Izzy's landing good roots and impales, but it doesn't feel like Fable is able to follow it up, and the tier 1 turret goes down, and so does Adrian to Suppressing Fire coming out from Excelsior.
Yeah, the tail end of that Suppressing Fire kept him in range just long enough for Dienzio to secure kill number 3. All 3 of those kills going on to this Adagio, but also we do have to look over at Zelsier and Max Green. They are 100% kill participation as well, with the 3 assists each. And again, this is going to be Zelsier just looking to get farmed up. Sorrow Blade complete, and splitting the ambience now with Dienzio, going to help them both get to that carry potential they need, and really going to start to push this lane heavily now that Sorrow Blade is complete.
we already see tier 3 items, alternating current, coming on out on D'Enzio. We have Excelsior, he's got his Sorrow Blade. We have Adrian with his Poison Shiv. That's gonna allow him to sustain better in lane. He's been taken low so many times. He's been killed twice actually out of the 3 kills. And Immortals, their macro play is just so good with all their rotations. It doesn't matter if they're getting impaled and rooted down by Izzy. They're sticking together and they're able to rotate the damage throughout their team very, very well. These glimmer shots are coming out from JMR, hitting D'Enzio a bit. It's taken really low, but that burst heal comes out of him. 1 shot, 1 kill, doesn't connect, and Immortals is rotating down into the tri-bush on the side of Fable.
Yeah, good scout trap there. Almost finds some damage onto D'Enzio, not quite enough. Rody Run does secure that Treant, and Excelsior should have enough gold now to rotate down and to get some additional shield and weapon power for himself. Again, Jamar is the big damage threat here on the side of Fable GG, so getting the shield here early is absolutely huge for Excelsior. But now they're starting up this gold mine, and Fable is here. Will they be able to take it? They do not.
No, they don't, and Excelsior's Suppressing Fire keeps them at bay, but it looks like there's another engage here. And Max Green's frontlining this. He's going in there. That root actually ends up missing out of Izzy, and Immortals is just going to push up into lane, throwing down some vision to see what's going on in those bushes there. Max Green rotating back, he's not caught out of position, thank goodness for that. And Immortals is keeping this really, really tight. Excelsior able to split Fable right there. Another root comes down, double root. Adrian's going so low, but he ends up getting away. He's back up to half health. Excelsior dangerously low as well, but D'Enzio actually gets taken by that 1-shot, 1 kill. A little bit of damage down to about 1/5 of his health. Another Suppressing Fire comes out. The slow from that Suppressing Fire. It's not able to help them too much, and they need to disengage because Immortals is running really, really low here. The stealth and active camo. Oh my goodness! Those glimmer shots are doing some serious work from JMR, taking out Excelsior, and Immortals knows that they need to disengage and head back to base, buy some items, and heal up.
Yeah, they were definitely low on health and energy there. Didn't help them escape. Excelsior didn't have enough energy to Rody Run out of danger, and Shatterglass ditching out JMR was absolutely huge. Poked through and finds the first kill for the side of Fable GG. And unfortunately, with the wave pushed as far as it was, they weren't able to find any damage on the turret. And there's still about a 3,500 gold lead for the side of Immortals, so definitely still looking good for them. They just have to make sure that Saw gets in the lane and is able to push as much of an advantage as he can. So definitely, Jamar, definitely the star of this Fable GG team right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they weren't able to capitalize on taking out some of the members of Immortals, but now we have another siege coming out here. The communication, the macro play is just so good coming out of Immortals. They're able to rotate together, take out these turrets whenever they need to. The communication is so key, and I can really see that in their gameplay. This turret is going down, and that's 2 turrets for the side of Immortals. Adrian's going so low, and he goes down. D'Enzio is taken out as well, so it's 2v2 in the lane right now. Jamar uses 1-shot, 1 kill, connects with Excelsior. Saw goes down, he's going to have to respawn. Izzy with these godly impales, just clutching them, taking Max Green to just down to less than half health. And now Fable is rotating down into the jungle. It looks like they're going for the gold miner. They really need to capitalize on some of these kills that they've been getting, and it looks like they're starting to do it.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they weren't pushing the lane a little bit harder, making D'Enzio lose out on some of that farm. They are going to secure the gold mine, so 189 gold payout going to each member of the team will allow Jamar to complete the Broken Myth now, as well as Adrian has the Poison Shiv and the Tension Bow complete. No defense yet on Jamar, though, so if he puts himself in a position where Excelsior is able to get some attacks down on him, it's really going to chunk him out quickly on this Crystal Kestrel.
Yeah, his positioning is going to be really key here, especially when it comes to mid to late game. But it looks like Immortals is just invading this jungle so much and stealing away that mid tree end, and that's why we're seeing this lead here in net worth out of Immortals, and it looks like Immortals is coming in, zoning them out with that Burst of Judgment. Doesn't come out, actually, doesn't connect with anybody, but one shot, one kill connects onto Excelsior, taking him pretty low. And they're just, if he could just lay down some suppressing fire into that bush when it comes online, it's going to be good. But Fable actually ends up disengaging, and it looks like they may be going for a fight in the lane. One of the few Impales actually ends up missing out of Izzy, and they're going to have to fall under turret because Immortals is just pushing them too hard. This wave, there's a big wave of minions coming up to take away the shielding from that turret, and it looks like a siege is about to happen. Oh, but Izzy goes down! Wow, finally, first death for that Lance. And Max Green's going pretty low too. Turret's aggroing DNZO right now, and it looks like Immortals got some good damage on that turret, and they're just going to have to disengage. 5-3 at 12 minutes into the match right now, with about a 3,000 gold lead for the side of Immortals.
Yeah, and that choke point turret is not looking very healthy for the side of Fable G, so definitely been a good job from the side of Immortals to push the advantage with the Saw and try to get as much lane pressure down early as they can. And we can see that reflected a little bit in the lane CS. 97 for Adrian and 115 for DNZO. Just sitting here shy of the 13-minute mark. Again, getting Saw into the lane and safely getting him to get some damage down on the turret is absolutely huge for them. I wish they would have had somebody that's a little bit more of a frontline hero for him so that he didn't have to take as many glimmer shots. But even with the Lyra and the Adagio, Immortals has been playing it really, really well. And here we have all three members in the lane again, looking to force this wave out.
Yeah, it looks like they're looking for another fight. Suppressing fire comes down. Minion Candy actually comes out. But it still looks like this is trouble for Fable GG right here. A lot of damage coming onto that turret, and the choke point turret goes down, and it was well worth it. All this activity here. The glimmer shots are coming out though, and the Lyra goes down, and Adrian's going really low as well. And it's a double kill. DNZO doing so much work here. But one shot, one kill comes out and connects onto Max Green. Lyra goes down. It's going to have to respawn at base. Now we got 1v1 here in the base of Fable, but DNZO is just going to have to disengage. And Jmar going after him in stealth, active camo. Crystal Sentry is locked onto DNZO, but it's not going to be able to do too much work. DNZO gets away, stealing that mid-tree, and really good engages. Macro rotations is the story of this game so far. 14 minutes in, we have 7-5 with 2 turrets remaining for Fable GG.
Yeah, and in that last fight, it was actually Max Green that dropped first, and the one shot did find Zelciar. DNZO sitting up at 7-1 right now, worth a pretty sizable bounty himself. So definitely going to be making sure that DNZO doesn't drop in this next fight. You don't want to give any gold into the side of Fable's pockets if you don't have to. But approaching the 15-minute mark, Immortals really could just find a kill, maybe 2, and then they could push the Kraken. There's just so much damage that Saw is able to do objectively. They could take it so fast.
Oh yeah, and we're actually having an engage here in the lane. But it looks like they're posturing, maybe not quite going to engage, but Immortals feeling pretty confident right now, and Suppressing Fire comes out. Excelsior's taking a lot of damage, and the Kraken's unleashed, but we're having Jmar drop. Fable is on the run, having to retreat into their own base, and the Immortals are just saying, you know what, we don't even need the Kraken. We're just going to go ahead and push, because Izzy's so low, and down he goes. Adrian is going to have to defend 3v1 with his remaining crystal turrets, and he's doing some pretty good damage right now, but he's going to have to retreat as well, because this is a 3v1 situation. 9-5 right now. Immortals rotating together, hitting hard together. One shot, one kill connects on the Max Green, but it's not enough to take him out. That Lyra tankiness, even though she's usually very squishy, late game she can be something to deal with.
Definitely can, and a really good fight there out of the side of Immortals. They were able to find some clean kills there. Kraken is started up, but Fable knows what's going on and are here ready to contest this, Sean.
If Jmar could get off some glimmer shots, then she could steal away the Kraken, but actually Kraken is captured for the side of Immortals, and Max Green actually just shot really quickly. Is he going to put down a Bright Bulwark? Nope. Doesn't need to. They're just taking everybody out. Jmar's clutch impales are no longer needed here because an ace comes out on the side of Fable. Immortals are going to push this final turret with no help necessary from the Kraken, and this should be game.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be game number 1 going over to Immortals. That Lyra in the late game was such a good saw delivery utility. We saw Zelciar use the suppressing fire, not really in a position that it got any damage down, but it did get him up to the maximum amount of stacks. The Arcane Passage would come through right into the middle of Fable GG. Zelciar would take it through, then he's a full spun-up Saw, was able to find a lot of damage onto Jmar early in that last fight, and again, that's the biggest threat coming out of the side of Fable. 17 minutes in, Adrian was never able to finish a third offensive item on this box. He ended the game with only that Poison Shiv and Tension Bow and the Heavy Steel. So definitely goes to show just how much this composition that Immortals put together was able to shut out the gold farm that Adrian was allowed to get.
I mean, interestingly enough, though, Saw didn't build a third tier 3 offensive item either, right? He didn't need it.
Well, he also did end up being a jungle Saw, like you called at the beginning. I would have liked to see the Saw in the lane just because of I think this game would have been over sooner. But again, I think what it really came down to was keeping Dienzio where he was comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's it. You know, they are getting ready for the live championship. They want to be in a position where they're really working on their mechanical skills here. Obviously, we don't expect to see Dienzio play a live Adagio in live championship, but he looked fantastic. I think the Saw in the jungle was just it's a bit of a nod to saying we can outplay you no matter what. I mean, Saw in the jungle is not a great pick as well, but you can just see Excelsior so comfortable on it. He feels so confident about that pick that he can play into anybody with it, especially at this level. So, you know, he did what he had to do. They didn't push as aggressively because he was in the jungle, because those rotations slowed down that aggression a little bit. Or just a tad. So that means with that, we are going to be getting ready for game number 2 here, gentlemen, in just a few seconds. And no surprise, Immortals takes game number 1. But what I will say is the Saw pick, a little risky. We did see, Day, that, you know, Fable did a great job. That Lance pick, there were several times I was like, wow, Immortals is struggling to take this first turret. Now that we see Immortals going over to B side, does any of that change? Do they not take the Saw, and do they maybe really do something a little bit more conventional?
Well, realistically, the Saw is actually safer on the B side pick. I think Zelciar's comfort level on this hero, specifically against a team that is a little bit lesser known, just was able to pull through. And again, Max Green, really the star here, waited to make sure Zelciar got those spin-up stacks from Suppressing Fire, dropped a portal that was very close to Zelciar so that he was able to get into it quickly and then engage very heavily with the stacks that he had built up. No defense on Jmar is what really allowed Zelciar to get in and just nuke somebody when he was fully spun up. So that was really the game changer there. Again, Jmar, great job in the early game. Good rotations into the lane, knowing Zelciar is going to be there, and was able to get down a lot of damage and really force Zelciar back early. But then the shield coming out of Zelciar really allowed him to get a little bit more sustain. And then obviously as Dienzio and Max Green built up some additional health and crystal power, they were able to heal Saw up a lot easier in these fights as well.
Yeah,
so getting into the draft, we'll probably see a similar ban phase here.
Yeah, as we got near the end of that game, or as we got further along, we saw, you know, the Saw have more sustain. So I don't expect to see Saw again, but we don't know. Anything is possible. Obviously, no surprise here. Grace banned first. We expect Catherine to be banned number 2.
Catherine definitely, I would think, would be banned number 2 here coming out of Immortals. Again, Catherine just so strong this patch. And with the buffs to Echo and Null Wave, she can be such a crazy pick. But it's actually the Lyra ban that comes out here. And I think if you are the side of Fable, I think you have to take the Catherine here. Do not give that pick to Immortals because they will run away with it quickly.
Yeah, you don't want to Max Green on that. And granted, Max Green's Lance plays really strong as well, so we could actually see him pick the Lance off of this or go with the Arden. But Catherine, an obvious pick here. I don't think this is what helps Fable GG overcome the Giants, which are Immortals in this tournament, but I do think that this is something that Immortals have to be a little bit smart about. It is Lance, Max Green, Lyra, and Lance. Those are like some of his most, comfortable supports that we've seen him play recently. So not terribly surprised to see him pick that first here. Also allows them to flex, a little bit of a flex. I don't expect to see a carry Lance, but it is something that could, we saw a side, we could see a carry Lance as well.
Zalciar actually has played some pretty good carry Lance in the past, that jungle Lance. They do ban away the Baptiste, not wanting to give away that incredibly deadly combination, and they do ban away the Vox from Dienzio. And again, we talked about this a little bit in the first draft, is keeping Dienzio off that Vox is absolutely huge. He is going to pick up the Adagio here, so going to get on that pick as well, and then I'm gonna have to restart my app here, Dragon.
Oh, no problem at all. Adagio, I think it's maybe just Zio's saying he wants to practice this, work on this hero. Celeste is picked, so maybe Immortals was banning Celeste game one. They maybe it was a comfort pick here of Fable GG. We have seen them pull this pick out before. Catherine Celeste is a very strong combo in the sense that they have this double stun. It's kind of hard to engage on when you've got to contend with that Merciless Pursuit and the Core Collapse. I do like Celeste with Catherine, and Adagio specifically, one of the zoning techniques Adagio has is that Versa Judgment, and Catherine and Celeste all but negate that ultimate. I would be surprised if Zio even winds it up.
Yeah, it's definitely a interesting scenario here. I think, again, Fable being one of the lower seed teams in this bracket and Immortals being one of the highest seeds in this bracket, it's kind of an obvious, clear favorite here. It is going to be Adrian picking up the Glaive, very likely, and Jamar in the jungle with this Crystal Celeste. I do think the Celeste functions pretty well into Adagio as well as the Glaive, so there's a lot of potential here, as well as paired with this Catherine we know is such a strong pick. I really do like this composition. I still have to give the edge in skill-based play to Immortals and think, if we pick up something, obviously we want to go with something weapon here. We could see a Rona pickup would be pretty strong. We could even see a weapon alpha. It would be a little off meta, but it is pretty tanky. It is going to be the Black Feather, though, who, when he dives in with Lance, will have some additional sustain in his pocket. And obviously able to give Adagio a free way to get burning damage down on the enemies to make those buffed attacks that much stronger.
Yeah, I mean, Adagio, Blackfeather pair up really well, and of course, even with the Lance, Adagio works great with the support Lance, just in the fact that you have that buff you give Lance, who has a lot of damage, a big range as well, where he can be very effective at zoning away, kind of pressuring that carry in the lane or in the jungle. So I like the draft from Immortals. I think that Fable and GG have their strategy. Their win condition is to try to isolate one of the members, use the Afterbird to punt in maybe a Blackfeather Adagio into a bunch of stuns where he just can't get out. You blow him up, and then you try to win with that 3v2. You try to...
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. Again, I do like the composition that Fable has put together here. There's a lot of chain stun ability here, as well as obviously the Echo Blast Tremor can be such a devastating combination that you can use on this Catherine. But again, I think the skill matchup specifically from Dienzio, Max Green, and Zalciar should just be able to outplay this lineup that Fable GG has put together here.
Yeah, well, we are getting into this game right now. As we look to kick it off here in just a few seconds. But definitely, I'm excited to see how it all kind of plays out here as Fable GG looking for one last shot.
Yeah, and again, Immortal's definitely the crowd favorite here, but kicking off this game, it is going to be me and Sean.
Yeah, guys, take it away.
Thank you, Dragonborn, and here we are in game number 2 of Immortals versus Fable GG, and it looks like we're already having an early jungle invade from the side of Immortals. Max Green and Dienzio are going in there. They're stealing away that mid tree, and it gets stunned up. Who's going to take it? And the last hit goes over to Dienzio. Max Green, I just wanted to actually bring up a stat about him, and I thought that the last game was impressive from Izzy with the over 50% win rate. Max Green actually has an 81% win rate with his lance, so expect to see some fireworks coming out of him with impales and just locking down people with stuns, maybe Gythian walls as well.
Yeah, Izzy G is definitely a good lance, but again, I just think the raw skill matchup here is on the side of Immortals for all three of the players, actually. Again, Max Green coming into the competitive scene had maybe a little bit of an iffy start, but he's really learned a lot and really adapted his playstyle, and he's absolutely become one of the better captains in the league here. So again, like you mentioned, that over 80% win rate on this lance, definitely a huge pickup for him. And we have a little bit more of an engage coming here out of Immortals in the jungle.
Yeah, to just keep the pressure up, Excelsior is actually poking out with his on points and getting some good damage onto Jamar and Izzy, but they're able to disengage and get some healing down. Diencio sieging this turret a little bit could be kind of a risky situation here. He's down to half health thanks to this turret. He gets stunned up by Izzy, but then Izzy gets knocked away by the Gythian wall. A root comes out onto Adrian, and down he goes. Diencio gets zoned out by that core collapse, and he's in no man's land right now, getting taken out by that turret. He knew there was nowhere to go, so he might as well just get killed early. Max Green is pretty low on health as well, down to about half health. Izzy getting knocked away by the Gythian wall, trying her merciless pursuit, but it's to no avail, and Max Green's going to go ahead and port back to base. Within 2 minutes, 30 seconds, we have one kill traded between Immortals and Fable.
Yeah, trade obviously going to go over to Immortals there with Diencio picking up that first blood bounty, getting that additional 200 gold. And again, here's Zelciar is making an aggressive engage.
Yeah, Excelsior is going into the jungle. He keeps trying to steal away all these farms. If they keep doing this, they're going to deny, and get ahead in game. But he's going really low, and it's a 3v1 situation. Excelsior is taken down, and we're going to have Fable just go ahead and farm the rest of what remains in their jungle. Adrian's coming back up into lane. Max Green's there waiting for him. Just patiently hits him with that Gythian wall. Diencio and Max Green are just going to keep sieging this turret, backing off a little bit, throwing down some Gift of Fire there, and Max Green actually gets stunned up a little bit, but it's not too difficult for him to get out of that. He just keeps providing vision in that mustache bush, and Diencio and Max Green, Immortals, just pushing this minion wave that they have into the turret, getting some small damage on there, and keeping the pressure up here for Immortals.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a gold lead actually for the side of Fable, but Zelciar looking to make another aggressive rotation here in the jungle. Not quite going to be there to find the treant this time, though. About 500 gold in the advantage of Immortals. And actually, Diencio doing a good job canceling the recall of Izzy there. Going to prevent him from returning to shop to get that fountain, which he should have enough gold for. Keeping Catherine from getting fountain is going to be absolutely huge for the side of Immortals. As they rotate down now as a unit looking to shop here.
Yeah, it's actually 500 gold. It's up to 600 now in favor of Fable. And looks like we have the minions just meeting there at the 50-yard line, and Immortals is rotating up. They're going to go ahead and push this wave up against the Tier 1 turret. Fable's coming back, but will they be able to come back to contest this wave push? And again, the pressure is just continuous here from Diencio and Max Green. Gift of Fire comes out onto one of those minions there, and they're going to go ahead and rotate down. Oh, Excelsior is getting hit up pretty good, taken pretty low, but Fountain comes out, and he's just doing his work on Jamar there, takes him out, and Adrian has to afterburn defensively away. Immortals, once again, just like in the previous game, rotating as a unit together and doing some serious work. Excelsior is able to steal away some of that front farm there from the side of Fable. And we have more damage coming onto this turret from the minions, Max Green and Diencio.
Yeah, Jamar does now have the Frostburn complete on the Celeste. Should allow him to get some good utility slowdown and could potentially easier way to find some of that splash supernova damage on those Heliogenesis. Zelsiar now level 6 as well, has those Rose offensive charges ready to go, and now Max Green not going to be able to steal away that farm.
But the stun comes out.
Izzy.
Yeah, stun comes out onto Izzy. He secures the kill. Dienzio going really low. Is he able to get away? And he's not quite there, but the stun saves him, able to disengage. And Adrian's now going really low. He gets taken out, and it's a total counter in the jungle. But this Crystal Sentry OP, as he finds the kill, Jamar is going after Max Green. Now, Core Collapse comes out, doing some serious damage onto Max Green. He's trying to get away. He's able to push the Githian wall up into Jamar. Stuns up. This is a really dangerous situation here for Immortals, I feel, Denominated, but thankfully they're disengaging and they're just going to go ahead and use that mid-treant to heal up.
Yeah, what's important here, though, is Izzy rotated down and actually used the fountain on Jamar when he really wasn't in a dangerous position. So that's a bit of a cooldown now wasted, as Jamar just would have been able to rotate through his jungle, clean up some farm, and then recall to shop and top up on health and energy. So that's going to be only on about a 30-second longer cooldown, but if Immortals does make an engagement where they get some damage down, that will not be available to them. So definitely a huge opportunity for Immortals if they recognize that use of Fountain.
Yeah, and this is actually the first time that we're seeing Fable doing a little bit of their own push in lane with their minions, but it doesn't really matter because all the minions are falling here. Good root coming out of Max Green. He's going low, but he uses his Githian wall up against Adrian there, stuns him up, and continuous pressure from Dienzio, Max Green, and Excelsior on this tier 1 turret. And we have another Githian wall stunning up Izzy VG, and there's a engage here. Another triple root actually comes down from Excelsior. Adrian punts away Dienzio. He's out of position a little bit, but regains footing with his allies. And we see those Heliogenesis coming down. Supernova comes out, doesn't do too much damage. Dienzio is about half health. Excelsior doing his poke with his on points and backing away a little bit. Max Green going really low, but he ends up blocking up. And the afterburn, another punt. Dienzio taken out. Adrian goes down too. 2v2 here in the lane. Excelsior and Max Green retreating under their own turret and trying to do something here. It looks like Jamar and Izzy are actually finally sieging this tier 1 turret, throwing out those Heliogenesis, but it looks like Jamar stayed too long because he ends up getting taken out. And now the tables have turned. Izzy GG is falling back under his tier 1 turret, and it looks like we have a lot of players porting back to base. Excelsior going to go ahead and steal away that farm. We're at 4-6 here for the side of Immortals in favor of them at 8 minutes 50 seconds in.
Yeah, one huge thing that happened in that last fight was Zelsiar was actually able to come in on low health and get the kill onto Jamar just as the Solar Storm was winding up. So that ability does not come through and is now on a cooldown. So a little bit of time now for Immortals if they pick another fight where that ultimate will not be available. Adrian has completed the Sorrow Blade and the Poison Shiv, and this is really like the first big spike for Glaive. But Izzy G already now has that Echo available on Catherine. This is this next fight going in for either team could be absolutely huge. The Broken Myth is complete on Dienzio, so a lot of damage coming out of him. And now, like you said, Immortals just really good on their rotations, making sure they're sticking together as a team. Now have Zelsiar in the lane, rotating up, looking to get some more push down.
Yeah, I feel like Afterburn comes out actually, and it's we have the Crucible come out, but the Silence, it goes down too, and Excelsior is getting taken down really low. Dienzio is actually taking out a fight, and so is Excelsior. Max Green left all by himself under his tier 1 turret. He's going to have to port back, and it looks like this tier 1 turret is going over to the side of Fable. What a push from them. They have evened up the score 6-6 now, and they have swung. They're continuing to maintain their goal lead. It's increased by about up to about 1,000 now, but good engage, and Silence coming out from Izzy.
Yeah, this is really where Celeste takes off. We are level 9 now on Celeste, so we have a second point into Solar Storm, as well as 5 points into Heliogenesis, giving that ability 2 additional range, making it a lot easier for Jamar to reach that back line and get Dienzio in a situation where he's forced to play uncomfortably because, again, Adagio, similar to we talked about Grace earlier, having to cast your abilities mid-fight can restrict a lot of your movement, and that makes it really easy for Celeste to get a lot of damage down, especially when chained together with the Afterburn out of this glaive.
Yeah, and it looks like we're getting a little bit of poke here coming out of Jamar. Throwing those Heliogenesis in there is dangerous times for Max. Don't get into that supernova, man. And this poke is coming down onto this tier 1 turret a little bit. They're starting to siege here, but stun comes out from that merciless pursuit. Dienzio falling back into that bush right there at the top of the lane. Max Green's at about half health, but you know he's really tanky as that lands. They're just gonna keep poking away at Adrian here. One on point comes out. Adrian's about half health, and Jamar's returning, throwing down some Heliogenesis there in that mustache bush. Adrian's going really low, and down he goes. 20-second timer for him. The root comes out of Max Green. Burst of Judgment comes down, does some pretty good damage, and an ace for Immortals, and they're going to take this turret.
They might even push 2. They have quite a significant amount of damage with the ace buff minion wave here, and as well as being able to rotate down through the enemy jungle and clean up some additional gold, should swing the gold favor pretty heavily in their pocket, and they might even look to take down this Crystal Sentry here. So good turnaround by Immortals again. Definitely the crowd favorite here, the team that I think everybody really expects to win this game, just again based on the skill level of each of these teams. It was looking really good there for the side of Fable GG. Again, Celeste so good once she hits level 8, gets that extended range. But if the side of Immortals is allowed to make a hard engagement and pick their own fight, then they can really provide a lot of ambush onto the line of Jamar. It's going to be about Glaive and Catherine protecting this Celeste as the game goes on.
Yeah, Dienzio is actually getting a lot of damage onto him, actually. Adrian punts away Excelsior, but Excelsior is just going to have to poke from range there. Fable's rotating down into the jungle, into the tri-bush of Immortals, and throwing out those Heliogenesis there from Jamar. There's some vision coming down from Max Green, but yeah, that was really good macro play there. The Immortals were actually, them able to push the 2 turrets like that and rotate down really shows great synergy that they have with each other and knowing what they need to do. And they're continuing to aggress here, and looks like they're going to be pushing this tier 3 turret in the choke point. It looks like Heliogenesis and Core Collapse are actually coming out there. Dienzio gets hit by some of that supernova. There's a root that comes down onto Adrian, and he's taken out. Jamar in a dangerous situation here. Same thing with Izzy. They're going to have to retreat back to their healing pad. And Excelsior poking really deep here, hitting them right while they're on their healing pad. And this choke point turret is going down thanks to Max Green and Dienzio taking it out. And they're actually still doing some work there. Jamar taken out, and it's a 3v1 situation at 14 minutes into the game. This is just a continuous push from Immortals during the last several minutes, Denominate.
Yeah, Dienzio is finding a lot of damage with those empowered attacks. Again, Zelsiar and Max Green make it very easy for him to get the additional burn damage down and empower those Agent of Wrath attacks just so much more. Now a gold miner looking to go over for the side of Immortals. Will Fable try to pick this fight?
Yeah, and it looks like Fable, Izzy's going really low, and that Storm Guard doesn't do much to them. And we have Jamar and Adrian just going to have to defensively farm because Immortals is just stealing away their fronts in that mid-treant there. Looks like Immortals is just going to back off a little bit. Kraken's out. We're at 15 minutes into the game, and 6-12 now the score with a 4,000 gold lead for Immortals at the moment.
Yeah, 4,000 gold lead, 3 turrets down. That choke point turret, really the best turret you can have on your side, protecting your base, is now dropped for the side of Fable. And with the Kraken on the board, if Immortals is able to find one more fight, they very likely could start this Kraken up and just push for the win. They have a 6-kill lead here, as well as still sitting around 4,000 gold advantage. Oh my god, the damage.
Nice block from that Core Collapse. and Excelsior actually gets taken out. Dienzio is on the run for his life. Less than half health, and Adrian is sitting, waiting for his cooldown, but it looks like he's not going to do it for his afterburn. Maybe he could surprise him, actually. Max Green's waiting there in that tri-bush. Everybody knows where everybody's at with these flares, and it's 2v3 here for Immortals in the side of their jungle, and it looks like we have an objective trying to be taken. The Kraken is being started up by Fable here. If they can do this, then it's going to be a really significant push for their side at this stage in the game. And it looks like Max Green's coming in. He's trying to juke him, throwing down some Githian walls. Burst of Judgment that comes out from Adagio. And oh my goodness, the steal! Immortals doing virtually no work on the Kraken, is able to do last hit, and they finish it off. Fable, they're dropping like flies. Adrian is almost low. He is so dead. Ace comes out, and the Crystal Sentry is going down as well. Everybody is dead from the side of Fable. GG. And it looks like this is the final push here within the next minute. These two Crystal turrets are going down. Kraken's going to come in. I'm even thinking that Kraken won't even get to the vein before it shatters.
Well, Kraken should be able to make it to the vein. They don't have a lot of objective damage without minions here. One good thing for the side of Fable is they were able to find Zelciar going way too low, but then they risked a very, very unfortunate Kraken steal there, obviously with Dienzio and Max Green alive. So that's going to swing this over to Immortals. Kraken's still very healthy, and that turret is down. Sean, this could be Immortals winning this game.
This is very likely going to be them winning this game. With the Kraken in your base, no crystal turrets, Kraken's overpowered right now, man. Just too OP. And everybody's dropping like flies, but the Kraken's doing her work. And that is game going over to Immortals. And it's that's a 17, 45-minute game. Very, very well played. Great macro play, macro rotations here. And I'm just going to have to give it up to Dienzio and Max Green. They're stealing away that Kraken, and that's what really secured the game for them.
Yeah, it definitely looked really good for them off the back of losing Zelciar going way too deep underneath that Crystal Sentry. But they are able to get the steal and close out the game. Immortals clean 2-0 victory over Fable G. Fable GG. I do think Fable performed pretty well tonight going into such a significantly higher seeded roster, though. So definitely going to be excited to see them and what they're able to do in the rest of this tournament.
All right, well, thanks for the games, everybody. It's fun times here tonight on VIS Pro. Let's go ahead and throw it back over to the desk with Dragonborn.
Oh, thank you so much, Justino, and thank you, Denomine. You guys, fantastic job getting us into the action, navigating through all that. It was definitely a lot of good games, a lot of good fights that took place, so really appreciate it. And this is just day one. So with that, we got our two teams that are going to be moving on to the quarterfinals. We've got 6 more teams to play here, just in the next couple of days. So you definitely want to make sure, keep an eye on Twitter for updates in the brackets. But let's take a quick look at the bracket and talk about what's coming up for tomorrow. Now, again, this is a 16 teams here, single elimination. With Immortals winning that matchup, they are now going to be going on and facing Tribe Gaming, which a very tense, close matchup that's going to be between these two teams already. Starting tomorrow, we will, of course, be having Gangstars, a show. Echo Fox will be playing Hollywood Hammers later this week. Necrolite, Rogue, and Misfits. A lot of exciting teams to be coming your guys' way. This is the VIS Professional Summer League. If for everyone, just in case you maybe are new, of course, to the stream, this is going to be our schedule for the next 2 weeks. With this coming next Saturday, September the 2nd, is going to be our grand finals, all of which you're not going to want to miss. It's going to be absolutely exciting, everybody. With that, though, I want to say good night. Again, thanks to Nomine and Sean Astido, and thanks to all you viewers for coming out and watching. We'll see you tomorrow, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific. Good night, everyone. Go.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.